podfic projects. Oh, we'll see. Let's share the screen. Yay. Oh, like the little messaging thing. I'm excited. I was thinking about how much I love the bit about like Rumi's name, why she is named Rumi, and I was just like, I don't even care if this doesn't like makes no sense in canon. I love it so much. The remember you matter immensely. Ugh, please, please, it's so cute. Wait, what's up? Woo. Oh my god, Reef is writing Art of Spoiling Pretty Girls at the same time. Hell yeah. I'm already emotionally fragile from the amazing yeah, Digital Circus. I have had that recommended to me so much, but I'm like, I can't add anything to my like roster of things that I need to watch slash read slash do right now. I'm like, yeah, I've gotten employed. I got employed. Uh and most days I'm like so tired when I come home that I'm like so. But I'm gonna do 2 streams for this chapter, and I'm probably gonna do not probably. I did schedule the next live for tomorrow, so same time tomorrow I'll be here. Oh my god! Two's Company hit 1.3 million hits. That's crazy. That's so wild. Anyway, so my lists are so long. Oh yeah. Chapter 43, Hope Still Lies in Tomorrow, Part 4. Summary, resilient. Resilient, adjective, describes the ability to withstand, recover, or bounce back quickly from difficult situations, stress, adversity, or physical pressure. Yay. Is this the last of the... This was supposed to be a 4-part angst thing, right? Is this the last part of the... I think. We'll see. Yes, last. Thank you. I just got a warning that says consuming substances featured in this live could harm your health. Girl, this isn't even a drug stream. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Oh my god. What substances are supposedly being consumed here? Girl, this isn't even a drug stream. What? They're gaslighting me. Anyway, we have no beginning of chapter notes. Hi, Sam. So it starts with a message from Celine 3 weeks ago, 5:45 a.m. I couldn't make it to the hospital today. I'm sorry. Are you okay? I'm guessing this is Celine speaking. Okay. I couldn't make it to the hospital today. I'm sorry. Are you okay? You don't have to respond. I just wanted you to know I'm thinking about you. I left some soup with the girls in case you were hungry. I know hospital food isn't 5-star. 2 weeks ago, 3:53 p.m. Hi, heard you recently got discharged and I just want to check in again. I hope today was a little easier for you than mine. I ended up oversleeping this morning. Missed an important meeting because I forgot to set my alarm. A week ago, 7:31 a.m. Hey, is your throat feeling any better? I read about some treatments that might help with the bruising, nothing invasive, I promise. I could bring them over or just sit with you, whatever you need. You don't have to respond. I just wanted you to know I'm thinking about you. A week ago, 2:45 p.m. I tried making pasta from this recipe I saw online. It was not good. I think I did something wrong with the sauce. 4 days ago, 7:18 a.m. Hi, just checking in again. You've been really quiet. Are you all right? 4 days ago, 2:53 p.m. I saw Mira earlier. She said you've been resting. I'm glad you are. 3 days ago, 9:47 p.m. Rumi, I've had a weird feeling all day. Can you let me know if you're safe? 1 day ago, 6:31 a.m. Rumi? I don't know if you're ignoring me or if something's wrong. Either way, I'm here. Tuesday, 11:36 p.m. Rumi, I keep thinking about what happened at the station. What did you mean when you said they killed her? Your Umma? Rumi? Call log 10 minutes 32 seconds 2:24 a.m. Rumi? Oh, thank God you called. I was starting to worry. Rumi? The line remained open, but there was no response. Celine could only hear the faint hiss of the connection before a shaky breath reached her through the speaker. Right. Her voice softened immediately. Your throat. A small rustle, fabric brushing against the phone. Is it any better? You can text me, okay? The faint tapping of a phone keyboard. A notification buzzed. Celine glanced down at her screen, read the message, then looked back up. What is it? There was no answer. What do you need to tell me? Only breathing reached her. It sounded uneven and strangely quiet. Does this have something to do with Myung? The breathing faltered. It didn't stop entirely, but the change was noticeable enough to make Celine sit a little straighter. Rumi? Shh. A sharp inhale followed. Shh. The word never formed. Instead, it collapsed into a broken gasp. Hey, don't force it. Please, don't force yourself. Rumi? The sound caught somewhere in Rumi's throat and turned into a strangled noise. Rumi? No answer came. Rumi, hey, I'm here. Rumi's breathing grew increasingly uneven, each breath arriving faster than the last. Rumi? Concern began to creep into Celine's voice. Rumi, listen to me. It's okay. You're okay. A tiny whimper slipped through the speaker. Deep breaths. Come on, with me. Slow, in, and out. For a moment, it seemed to help. Then a sob broke free, the sound raw and painful. Rumi? Celine lowered her voice. What are you apologizing for? A wet sniffle answered her. There's nothing for you to be sorry for. The microphone shifted slightly, and Celine imagined Rumi curling in on herself. Where are you right now? Rumi? There was no typing this time, no answer, only breathing that still hadn't slowed. Why do you keep saying sorry? Rumi, you're scaring me. The admission slipped out before she could stop it. Where are you right now? The breathing suddenly spiked, sharp and panicked. Rumi, please. Mira chat. Celine, 210. Hey, can you check on Rumi? I'm on the phone with her and something's wrong. She shouldn't be alone right now. On my way now. Rumi? Celine kept her voice as steady as she could despite the knock tightening in her stomach. Listen to me. Whatever you need to tell me can wait. Rapid typing. One notification appeared, then another, then another. Celine barely had time to read them. I want you to lie down, okay? A pause. I texted Mira. The typing stopped immediately. The silence that followed felt wrong. She's coming to you. Nothing. Not even breathing. Rumi? Then a sharp inhale cut through the line, as though she'd forgotten to breathe. Rumi, wait, that's not... I wasn't trying to... This isn't about that. Quickly, almost tripping over her words. I trust you. I do. I don't want you alone right now. You're hurting. A faint knock echoed through the speaker. Celine closed her eyes briefly. Rumi, I know. Her voice grew quieter. I'm sorry. A notification buzzed. Celine read it and felt her chest tighten. No. She let out a shaky breath. No, I do think it's my fault. Another knock sounded, louder this time. But we can talk about that later, okay? Can you open the door for Mira? Rumi? A notification buzzed. Celine read it and frowned. What? Another buzz. What do you mean, them? A pause. Another notification. Rumi, I don't understand. The next message arrived. Celine went still. What? The word came out thin and fragile. A door creaks open somewhere on Rumi's end, a muffled voice, Mira. Celine barely registered it, too busy staring at her screen. Another notification appeared, then another. The color drained from her face. Rumi. Then another notification arrived. Celine read it. The world seemed to stop. No. The word was barely audible. Another message appeared. No. Her voice cracked. That's not. A final message arrived. An explanation. The truth. Silence settled over the call, heavy and suffocating. Rumi. Her breath caught. How? The question escaped before she could stop it. How did that happen? There was no answer, only distant movement on the other end of the line. Mira speaking softly, Rumi crying. No. A tremor entered Celine's voice. It wouldn't. The sentence fell apart before she could finish it. For several seconds, all Celine could hear was Rumi breathing. All Rumi could hear was Celine trying not to fall apart. Finally, she spoke. The word died in her throat. She swallowed and tried again. I see. Thank you for telling me. The strain in her voice was impossible to hide. I just need a little time to process. Her breathing shook. I'll be okay. It's okay, Rumi. Her voice softened further. I have to go now. The words almost didn't make it out. Let your girls take care of you, okay? Good night. Call ended. Guys, I love that this is written like a crime drama. I'm eating this up. I'm like, give me a. Ah. Oh my God, that's so good. I'm just gonna look up what that is real quick. This is a Two's company, but they want a crowd. This is chapter 42, and there's 2 more chapters left after this. Like it's literally gonna end right around its like 1 year mark, and it's making me emotional. It's like, meh. How long are we going tonight? I'll aim to at least get halfway, but like I think 10:30 the latest, so 3.5 hours. I gave up trying to catch up on this fic at the moment. I've been more in a writing mood, and that's okay. Azura, I thought you were reading Two's Company. I forgot Celine doesn't know yet. I feel so bad about how long it's been since I posted anything. Girl, don't. We all have real lives. I think this month has been like the least reliant I've been on social media overall. Like, and I'll just say it. I love the little polytrix spaces, but I've never felt better. Sometimes we just need to like take some time off, you know? I last read it since chapter 32 because life has been busy entering college this year. Yeah. I swear that if I'm gonna be like, no, go to school. Reeve has to go job. Go to job. Go to job. Go to job. A good social media detox is needed. You know what? I've been putting my phone away. I've been speaking to my coworkers. We're having conversations. It is so beautiful. It is so beautiful to put the phone away sometimes. Like, oh my God. I've been having a fun little time. Yeah. Let's keep going. So this message thread is with Rumi, but I don't know. I don't know who's. Okay, this is still Celine. This is Celine speaking, but it's just the POV is switched. So this is Celine speaking. Wait, can I? No, I can't click it. Okay, let's read this. I couldn't make it to the hospital today. I'm sorry. Are you okay? You don't have to respond. I just wanted you to know I'm thinking about you. I. Wait, is this exactly the same messages? I had a weird feeling all day. Yeah, these are the same messages from. I'll read it again just because it's here. I couldn't make it to the hospital today. I'm sorry. Are you okay? You don't have to respond. I just wanted you to know I'm thinking about you. I left some soup with the girls in case you were hungry. I know hospital food isn't 5-star. 2 weeks ago, 3:53 p.m. Hi. Heard you recently got discharged and I just want to check in again. I hope today was a little easier for you than mine. I ended up oversleeping this morning, missed an important meeting because I forgot to set my alarm. A week ago, 7:31 a.m. Hey, is your throat feeling any better? I read about some treatments that might help with the bruising, nothing invasive, I promise. I could bring them over or just sit with you, whatever you need. You don't have to respond. I just wanted you to know I'm thinking about you. A week ago, 2:45 p.m. I tried making pasta from this recipe I saw online today. It was not good. I think I did something wrong with the sauce. 4 days ago, 7:18 a.m. Hi, just checking in again. You've been really quiet. Are you all right? 4 days ago, 2:52 p.m. I saw Mira earlier. She said you've been resting. I'm glad you are. 3 days ago, 9:47 p.m. Rumi, I've had a weird feeling all day. Can you let me know if you're safe? Rumi, I don't know if you're ignoring me or if something's wrong. Either way, I'm here. Tuesday, 11:36 p.m. Rumi, I keep thinking about what happened at the station. What did you mean when you said they killed her? Your Oma? Rumi? Saturday, 2:01 a.m. I need to tell you something. It's about Myung. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, so you think I need a babysitter? You think I'm going to hurt myself too, right? You think I'm going to cut myself just because I'm alone and losing it? And losing it? You don't trust me. You're the reason I'm like this. You don't think this is your fault? I think everything with you just made it harder to keep going. It's because of them that my mom died. Miyang was murdered. Ji-hoon and his parents killed her. She was allergic to lavender and they used it against her. They killed her slowly. She didn't die from some unknown sickness. It was because of them. They took her away. Celine, are you okay? I'm sorry I couldn't say it out loud. I was trying to, but you had to find out like this. Celine, I'm sorry. Celine? Awesome. Awesome. Great. Amazing. Rumi stood in front of Celine's door for a long time, her hand lifting and hovering as if she wasn't entirely sure what she was up to do. It lingered there for a few seconds before she finally knocked, the sound soft and almost hesitant against the wood. She waited, listening, but nothing came from inside. After a moment, she knocked again, louder this time, the sound carrying faintly across the quiet yard. Silence stretched until something shifted inside. A dull thud, then the sharp knock of something being hit. A muffled shit slipped through the door, low and slurred. The door cracked open. Celine stood there, leaning into the frame like she needed it to stay upright. Her hair was uneven, her eyes red and glassy, unfocused for a second before they settled on Rumi. The robe she wore hung loose, slipping off her shoulder, and one of her slippers barely clung to her heel. Rumi, she said, her voice rough, catching in her throat. She blinked slowly, like the name took a moment to fully register. Oh, you're here? She dragged a hand over her face, missing slightly before correcting herself, wiping under her eyes with a clumsy motion. What are you? She started, then trailed off, losing the rest of the sentence. A quiet, breathy huff followed. What are you doing here? Rumi didn't answer. She just lifted her head and gestured faintly toward the inside. Celine watched the motion like she had to process it, her gaze lingering a second too long before she stepped back too quickly. Her shoulder bumped against the door, and she steadied herself with a quiet exhale. Yeah, okay. Come in. The smell hit first. Alcohol. Not the faint trace of a this is when you should give the warning. This is TikTok, this is when you should give the warning. Everyone drink responsibly. Not the faint trace of a drink left out overnight, but something heavy, older, like it had been sitting in the air for hours. Rumi stepped inside, her gaze drifting around the apartment. It was dim, the curtains drawn unevenly across the windows. Thin strips of morning light slipped through the gaps, cutting across the darkness and casting long shadows over the floor and furniture. As her eyes adjusted, something bumped softly against her foot with a quiet clink. Rumi looked down just in time to catch an empty wine bottle rolling lazily across the hardwood before it came to rest near the couch. Her gaze followed it, only to land on another bottle tipped beside the coffee table. A third lay on its side beneath the television stand, a dark stain dried around it. Celine's place was usually spotless. Now, not so much. For a moment, Rumi simply stood there, taking it in. When she finally looked up, Celine had already turned away. She pushed the door shut behind them with more force than necessary, the click of the latch echoing through the apartment, louder than it should have been in the quiet. Sorry, she said, scratching at her head, her fingers catching briefly in her hair as she struggled to find the rest of the thought. I didn't think. She let out a small, humorless laugh. If I knew you were coming, I would have done something about this. Her hand gestured vaguely at the room before dropping again, eyes elsewhere but Rumi. Rumi reached for Celine's arm, her grip firm but careful, and guided her toward the couch. She moved slowly, deliberate with each step, making sure to steer them both around the scattered bottles on the floor. Celine blinked, a little unfocused, like it took her a second to understand what was happening, but she didn't resist. She let herself be led, sinking down onto the couch with a quiet exhale, her body folding into it. Rumi didn't sit. Instead, she turned, crouching slightly as she began picking up the empty bottles, one glass knocking softly against glass as she gathered them. Celine noticed almost immediately. She pushed herself up too fast, the movement uneven, her balance wavering for half a second. Rumi, you don't have to. Rumi gave a single look, steady and unyielding, before she pointed back toward the couch. Sit. Celine hesitated, something flickering across her face, guilt, maybe, or embarrassment. Then it faded just as quickly. She let out a quiet sigh and sank back down, one hand coming up to cover her eyes as her head tipped back at the couch. Okay. Rumi went back to cleaning. She moved through the living room in silence, collecting every bottle she could see, her movements methodical. The bag in her hand filled slowly, the soft clinks dulling as they stacked together. When she was done, she tied it off and set it aside. Then she moved to the kitchen. The space was just as dim, the same stale heaviness lingering in the air. Rumi reached for 2 cups without thinking, filling them with water, the sound of the tap running too loud in the quiet apartment. She shut it off quickly and carried the cups back. Celine hadn't moved much, still slouched, still half curled into herself, her hand resting loosely over her face. Rumi nudged her foot lightly. Celine stirred, lowering her hand just enough to look at her. It took a second for her eyes to focus on the cup being offered. Oh. She took it, her fingers brushing Rumi's for a brief second. Thank you. Celine brought it up to her lips, taking a couple slow sips, like even that took effort. Rumi sat down beside her then, leaving a small space between them. She held her own cup in both hands, staring down at the surface of the water as it stilled. Celine didn't speak. Rumi couldn't. So the silence stretched between them, settling in like something familiar, something neither of them quite knew how to break. After a moment, Rumi reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone. The screen lit up her face as her thumbs moved across it, quick at first, then slowing, stopping, starting again, like she was second guessing each word as it came. When she finally finished, she turned the screen towards Celine. Celine squinted, leaning in too close before pulling back slightly as she read. I shouldn't have said any of that yesterday. I knew it would hurt you, and I said it anyway. I don't know how to explain what's been going on with me, but I know you didn't deserve to be on the receiving end of it. So I'm sorry. The glow of the screen reflected faintly in her eyes as she read. When she finished, she let out a breath that almost like a laugh, but didn't quite make it there. Her grip tightened around the cup before loosening again. Celine nodded once. Yeah, she murmured, voice quieter now. She swallowed, her mouth pressing into a thin line as she tried to steady it. I, she started, then stopped, shaking her head slightly. I know. There was a brief pause before she added, softer and less certain. I understand. Celine straightened a little too quickly, like she couldn't afford to stay in that moment any longer without it pulling her under. When she looked at Rumi again, there was something sharper in her gaze now, more present, even if the glassiness hadn't fully left. Tell me everything you know. Rumi nodded once and looked back down at her phone. This time, her fingers didn't hesitate. She told her everything about Jihoon, about the allergy, about the gift baskets that kept showing up, carefully curated, thoughtful on the surface, the specific brands, the products that looked harmless until they weren't. She told her about the microdoses of lavender hidden in those gifts, about how something meant to look thoughtful had been turned into something slow and deliberate, so subtle it didn't raise concern at first, not enough to alarm anyone, just enough to linger, to build, to wear her down slowly, piece by piece, until her body stopped fighting the way it used to. She told her about the doctors, too, about how they overlooked it, dismissed it, failed to question what didn't make sense because it was easier not to, because someone with enough power made sure they didn't have to. And then she told her how she found out, how it connected back to her, how it was genetic. Her fingers faltered there, just for a second, hovering over the screen as something tight coiled in her chest before she forced herself to keep going, finishing the thought before she could stop. Celine didn't interrupt once, didn't speak, didn't move. She just read. And with every message, something in her expression shifted. Slow at first, almost imperceptible, then more pronounced. The control she'd been holding on to began to thin, piece by piece, each new detail wearing it down further. Her jaw tightened, her breathing grew uneven. Her hand curled tighter around the glass until her knuckles paled, but she didn't look away, didn't stop reading. By the time Rumi's hand stilled, the room felt smaller, as if the air had thinned out between them, leaving nothing but the weight of what had just been read. I failed her. Celine's voice came out quiet, unsteady. It barely sounded like her. Rumi's lip trembled. She bit down hard enough to hurt, trying to hold everything in place. Her hand came up to cover her eyes, but it was too late now. The tears were already slipping through, silent and steady as they fell. And the thought came, quiet, familiar. She knew that feeling, knew the weight of it, the way it settled into your chest and refused to move, whispering over and over that if you had just done something differently, anything, things would have turned out another way. She knew that voice. Oh God. Celine choked on the words, her breath collapsing in on itself before she could finish. Her hand twisted into her hair, fingers pulling hard at the roots, searching for something to ground her, something sharp enough to cut through it. I failed her once and didn't even know it, and now... Her voice broke, shattering mid-sentence. Now I did it again. Her breathing turned jagged, each inhale catching like a hook in her throat. When you were newborn, she... The memory hit too fast. Celine folded forward, one hand pressing hard against her sternum as if trying to physically hold her ribs together. A hollow laugh tore out of her then, wrong in every way. But I wasn't... The words dragged out of her, harsh and ugly. I wasn't, not even close. I thought I was doing enough. I thought... Her head shook rapidly, almost frantic. I didn't see it. I didn't see anything, and she trusted me. She trusted me with you, and I... Her voice collapsed, folding into a sob she couldn't swallow. Rumi watched, chest tightening as Celine came apart in front of her, tears slipping down her own cheeks. And now this... Celine's hands dropped from her hair, hitting her lap with a dull force, fingers curling into trembling fists. It was right there, right in front of me, and I just... Her breath hitched. I let it happen. The words started spilling out after that, faster, uneven, tripping over each other like if she slowed down for even a second, she wouldn't be able to keep going. I should have seen it. I should have known something was wrong. Who sends that much? Who does that? I should have questioned it. She stopped mid-sentence. Something flickered across her face. Recognition, delayed and useless. Her hands came up, pressing hard into her face, her voice muffled behind them. I did question it, she admitted, the words quieter now, breaking in a different way. Those gift baskets. When I saw her again, I thought it was strange. I did. Her shoulders shook. But she was stubborn, she choked out. She wanted to keep using them, said it made her feel like it was hers, like she was building something of her own. And she loved that you liked it. That was enough for her. Another sharp inhale. I should have pushed harder. I should have thrown it out. I should have... Her voice spiked, cracking under the weight of it. I should have protected her. I was there, Celine cried, the words tearing out of her, raw and unfiltered. I was right there with her, and I still couldn't save her. Still. Her hands dropped, then came back up again, resting, like she didn't know where to put them, what to hold on to. She sucked in a shaky breath that didn't quite fill her lungs, her chest rising too fast. I can't. She pushed to her feet too quickly, unsteady from the start. I can't do this. I can't. She was already backing away, shaking her head, faster now, like she was trying to outrun words, the memory, all of it. She nearly tripped over the edge of the rug, catching herself on nothing, her balance going before she could fix it. A broken sound tore from her throat as her hands flew up to her temples, pressing hard, like she could force everything in her head to stop. I let her die, thinking it was nothing, she choked. I didn't even... Her voice broke completely, her face twisting as the realization hit again, fresh and brutal. She was being killed, and I didn't even know. I didn't even... She turned abruptly, like she needed to move, needed distance, escape, anything, but she didn't make it 2 steps. Rumi was already there. She caught her by the arms before she could get any farther, the force of it stopping Celine mid-motion. For a second, Celine resisted, trying to pull away, shaking her head. No, let me go, Rumi, I can't! Her voice cracked again, thinner this time, splintering at the edges, and whatever was holding her up gave out with it. Her knees gave out first. It wasn't graceful, she just folded, like something inside her finally collapsed completely. And if Rumi hadn't been holding on to her, she would have hit the ground hard. Instead, they went down together. Rumi dropped with her, catching what she could of her weight, her grip tightening as Celine collapsed inward, hands flying up to cover her face as the sobs broke loose, fully loud, uneven, tearing out of her in a way that couldn't be contained anymore. I could have saved her, she cried, the words muffled against her palms, her head shaking over and over like she could undo it if she just didn't stop. I could have saved her. I should have known something was wrong. I should have. She trusted me. She trusted me, and I missed it. I missed all of it. Her fingers curled into her sleeves, gripping tight, desperate for something solid as her body caved forward. I was right there and I didn't understand. I didn't help her. I just held her while it was happening. Her breath stuttered, catching so sharply it almost stopped altogether. I told her it was going to be okay, she whispered, the words barely there, horrified. I told her that, and it wasn't. That was what did it. Rumi immediately pulled her in, one arm wrapped tight around her shoulders, the other cradling the back of her head, pressing her into her chest, firm, grounding, like if she held on hard enough, nothing else could come apart, even as her own tears slipped down unnoticed. Celine didn't fight her this time. She clung, fingers twisted into the fabric of Rumi's shirt, gripping tight like she needed something solid to keep from going under. Her forehead pressed hard against her shoulder as the sobs kept coming, messy, uneven, breaking out of her without restraint. Her breathing still caught, but it wasn't spiraling anymore. Now it had somewhere to go. I was supposed to protect her, she kept saying, quieter now, but no less broken, like her mind had caught on it and couldn't move past it. I was supposed to protect her. Each time, Rumi's hold tightened just slightly. Her hand moved through Celine's hair in unsteady passes, over and over, the repetition soft, almost instinctive, like she was trying to soothe something she didn't have words for. Rumi, Celine whispered, her voice barely holding together. I'm sorry. The words came slower this time, heavier. For all of it. For not seeing it. For. Her breath caught. She pushed through, quieter now, the edges worn thin. For leaving you alone in it. Rumi's response was immediate, even if it was small. She shook her head against her. A weak, stubborn no. Celine felt it. Her arms tightened without thinking, pulling her closer, like she needed to keep her right there, needed the closeness as much as she needed to give it. It should have been me protecting you, she murmured, softer now. The panic had ebbed, but the ache underneath it hadn't gone anywhere. I should have been the one making sure none of this ever touched you. Rumi's fingers curled weakly into the fabric of her shirt. Hey. Celine's voice shifted, gentler now, trying to steady something between them, even if she hadn't steadied herself yet. It's okay. We're okay. I've got you. She exhaled slowly, her cheek resting against the top of Rumi's head. Everything's going to be okay, she whispered, softer now, like the words might break if she said them any louder. I promise. The words lingered, fragile. Rumi's eyes squeezed shut as it all hit her at once, something in her chest tightening instead of easing. Her face pressed deeper into Celine's shoulder, like she could hide from it, like she could stay in the quiet where nothing had to be said. But it didn't stay quiet. See? Sound broke before it could form fully. Celine's hold tightened instantly. I know, she said at once, her voice cracking in a different way now, softer, overwhelmed, like something fragile had just been placed into her hands, and she didn't want to drop it. I know, Rumi, I know. She pulled back just enough to look at her. One hand came up to cup Rumi's cheek, thumb brushing away tears that kept slipping down without permission, clumsy but careful. You don't have to force it, she murmured, leaning in until their foreheads nearly touched. You don't have to push yourself, okay? I'm right here. Her voice broke again, but she didn't look away. I'm not going anywhere. Rumi's lips parted like she might try again, but no sound came this time. Just a shaky breath, her body leaning forward instead, closing the small space between them again. Celine didn't hesitate. She pulled her back in immediately, one hand steady at the back of her head, the other firm around her shoulders, holding her like an anchor that refused to move. It's going to be okay, she whispered. Not as a promise this time, more like something she was trying to make real by saying it. And for the first time since everything had unraveled, since the grief had settled into something suffocating and constant, it didn't feel like it was just hers to carry. Celine's control broke again after that. Her sobs came harder, shaking through her, no longer contained, no longer fought back. Rumi cried with her, quieter, but no less heavy, her fingers curling into the back of Celine's robe like letting go wasn't an option she was willing to consider. They stayed like that, clinging to each other in the dim, quiet room, the sound of her breathing and broken sobs filling the space where words couldn't, crying for her, for everything that had been taken, for everything that could have been, for the guilt that refused to loosen its grip, and the unbearable, aching weight of knowing how close it had all been to something different. And somewhere in the middle of it, buried beneath the grief and the pain and the overwhelming noise of it all, Rumi didn't feel alone, not completely. And that's a lion break. Ooh. Losing my mind. Losing my freaking mind. I got a new job and I'm in summer online classes. Hell yes. Hell yes. Okay, we're back. We're finally back. Problem number one with writing a new fanfic, trying to think of a clever name that nobody's used yet. No beta reader for the bit. Oh my god. No, no. The stream didn't just start. We've been going. We read the first bit of Two's Company, chapter 43, and now we read the little Celine and Rumi bonding moment after Celine learns how Miyang was killed. Yay! Very fun stuff. I'm saying words that have never been said before. Okay, BRB. Okay. Appointment request. This is an email. Appointment request. Rurumi15 at gmail.com to dr.yoon at wellmindtherapy.com. Realize how emailing him at 6:42 a.m. Hi, Dr. Yoon. I hope you've been doing well. I'm sorry it's been so long since I reached out. I've actually written and deleted this email a few times over the past couple of weeks because I wasn't really sure how to start it. The last time we talked, things with Celine were pretty complicated. She had reached out and wanted to try again, and I remember spending a lot of time worrying about whether that was a good idea or not. I think that's one of the few things that has actually gotten better since then. We've been taking things slowly, and while it's still not perfect, it feels healthier than it used to. There's a lot more communication and understanding between us than there was before. And overall, I think I'm happier in that part of my life than I was when we last spoke. Unfortunately, I can't really say the same about everything else. A lot has happened since our last. I didn't talk about everything that happened. I could sort of convince myself I was handling it better than I actually was. For a while, that seemed to work. Lately, though, it's been getting harder and harder to keep things pushed down. Sometimes I'll have a good few days and think maybe I'm finally moving past whatever is wrong, and then something small will happen and everything comes rushing back at once. I don't really know how to explain it properly. I just feel exhausted all the time. Not physically necessarily, but emotionally. Everything feels like it takes more effort than it should. I've also noticed that I've been avoiding thinking about certain things altogether. It's not that I don't know they're there. It's more that every time I get close to actually processing them, it feels overwhelming enough that I immediately find a way to distract myself. I know that's probably not helping, but I don't think I've been ready to deal with any of it. The problem is that avoiding it doesn't seem to be working anymore either. I don't really feel like myself lately. It's hard to explain because I'm still spending time with people I care about and I'm still doing the things I'm supposed to be doing. From the outside, I probably seem mostly okay, but a lot of the time I feel disconnected from everything around me. Like I'm present without really being present, and that's been scaring me more than I want to admit. Something else that's been bothering me is that it feels like I've lost access to myself somehow. I don't know if that makes sense. I remember there always being a constant stream of thoughts in my head, even when I was anxious or overwhelmed. Now it feels strangely quiet. Not peaceful quiet, just empty. Sometimes I'll sit there and realize I can't even tell what I'm feeling because there's nothing there to grab onto. It's like I'm moving through my days on autopilot. Girl, I react to things, I go through my routines, but when I try to check in with myself, there's just this blank space. I think that's part of why I've been struggling so much. I don't feel connected to my own thoughts the way I used to, and it's making it hard to understand what's going on with me. I've also noticed that I've been lashing out more than I normally would. Not constantly, but enough that it's bothering me. Someone can say something completely harmless or ask a question because they're worried about me, and somehow I'll take it the wrong way and get irritated or defensive. Sometimes I'll say things I don't really mean, and then afterward I'll feel awful about it because I know they were only trying to help. The people around me have been incredibly patient and supportive, and I know they mean well. That's part of why it upsets me so much. It doesn't feel like me. I've never liked taking my frustrations out on other people, especially people I care about, and lately it feels like my reactions are bigger than they should be. I hate it. And I hate feeling like I'm becoming someone I don't recognize. I think one of the reasons I'm finally reaching out is because I've realized I don't actually want to stay like this. And as much as I've tried to convince myself that I could handle everything on my own, I don't think I can. Or maybe I can, but it's taking a lot more out of me than I expected, and I don't think it's sustainable. So I was wondering if it would be possible to schedule an appointment sometime. If you're okay with it, I was also wondering if I could send another email before then explaining some of what's happened in more detail. I think writing is still easier for me than talking, which I can't now. That's a whole other thing when it comes to certain things, and it might help me organize my thoughts a little before our session. Sorry for disappearing for so long, and thank you for taking the time to read all of this. I really appreciate it. Rumi, sent from my iPhone. RE appointment request. I don't remember the voice I had for him. Hi Rumi, I hope you've been doing well. It really has been a while, hasn't it? I'm glad you reached out. Before anything else, I want to say something that I'm fairly certain won't surprise you. You don't need to apologize for reaching out. If memory serves, we've spent a good amount of time talking about your habit of apologizing for things that don't actually require an apology, and disappearing for a while before contacting your therapist again definitely falls into that category. You're allowed to come back. You don't need a particularly good reason, and you certainly don't need to justify how much time has passed. I'm just glad you did. Thank you for taking the time to write everything you did. Reading your email, I got the sense that you've been putting a tremendous amount of energy into functioning around what you're feeling rather than actually with it. Around what you're feeling rather than actually with it. And to be clear, that's not a criticism. Avoidance exists for a reason. Most people don't avoid things because they're weak or unwilling to deal with them. They avoid things because whatever they're avoiding feels overwhelming, painful, or too difficult to hold all at once. One thing I would especially like us to talk about when we meet is what you described as feeling disconnected from yourself. You wrote about feeling absent even when you're around people you care about, and about not really feeling like yourself lately. I found myself rereading that part of your email a few times because it felt very significant. You've always had a tendency to sit with your thoughts for a long time, sometimes longer than they need. So hearing you describe feeling disconnected from yourself or struggling to fully access what you're feeling caught my attention. I don't think it's something to overlook. The same goes for what you mentioned about not liking who you've been lately and feeling off in ways that are difficult to explain. What I hear in those parts of your email isn't someone becoming a different person or somehow losing themselves. I hear someone who is overwhelmed, someone who has been carrying more than they've been able to process, and someone who is starting to feel the effects of that. Those are very different things. I also want to acknowledge what you shared about the picking. The fact that you've noticed it, recognized it as something you don't want to fall back into, and have already been making efforts to interrupt it are all important things for me to know. It tells me that even while you've been struggling, a part of you is still paying attention and trying to take care of yourself. Most of all, though, I'm glad you reached out before convincing yourself that you had to handle all of this alone. You mentioned how much support you've been receiving from the people around you, and I'm very glad to hear that. At the same time, I want to gently remind you that support isn't something you have to earn by reaching a certain level of distress first. You're allowed to ask for help before things become unbearable. In fact, that's often the best time to do it. I was also happy to hear that things with Celine have become healthier and more stable. It's encouraging that you're able to recognize that positive change while also being honest about the areas where you're struggling. As for your questions, yes, I'd be very happy to schedule an appointment. Send me your availability over the next couple of weeks and we'll find a time that works. And yes, you're absolutely welcome to send another email beforehand if writing things out feels easier. You don't need to organize everything perfectly, and you don't need to worry about whether it's too long, too messy, or jumps around from one thing to another. Just write what comes to mind. We can sort through it together when we meet. I'm very glad you reached out, Rumi. We'll take this one piece at a time. Warmly, Dr. Yoon. That is so if that was that was a therapist in the US healthcare system, that would be just a hey, that would not be an email. That will be a session and that will cost you like $100. Dude, I don't have an American therapist, and even my therapist would be like, let's talk about this during our session. Let's talk about this during our session. um, I don't know who I am without my voice. I don't know who I am without my voice. Will I ever get it back? Something, something. Has anyone seen the movie K-pop Demon Hunters? I think there is some similarity. I think there's some similarities. Mm. Oh no. Oh no. I overestimated my capacity to take in water. Already rereading and found like 4 spelling errors. That's why you get a beta. Because when you're in a flow state, you're not paying attention to that stuff. And that's okay. You're silly. The message stayed on the screen longer than it needed to. Rumi's eyes moving over the same lines again and again, slower each time, as if something might shift if she looked at it long enough. Let me also check the YouTube comment real quick. I am a CNA at a nursing home and in my last 2 semesters in college. Period. I can't believe it's summer. I'm gonna like lose my mind. Currently melting alive, but other than that, not too bad. Don't talk to me about melting alive. It's currently around 25. 25C is not 95F. I would know because I've had to do them. Don't try to gaslight me, Sam. 98% humidity is crazy though. That is brutal. Girl, I was out at the movies. I saw Scary Movie 6 and they had a K-pop Demon Hunter. Yeah, I've heard about the Scary Movie reference. I've heard about it. My coworker at work was like, "Hey, have you seen do you know about the Scary Movie stuff?" And I'm like, "Yes, I know exactly what you're going to say. I know exactly what you're going to say. I am on the Twitter." Okay, I probably got it wrong. It's like 1 a.m. I can't do math. Do you like but it's still hot as hell. What is 25 degrees? It should be something around 80s, I feel like, 2F. It's 77. It's 77. Dude, it's okay. Fahrenheit makes no sense. And yes, I'm saying this to all you Americans. Fahrenheit makes no sense. Anyways, let's go. The message stayed on the screen longer than it needed to. Rumi's eyes moving over the same lines again and again, slower each time, as if something might shift if she looked at it long enough. It didn't. Her thumb hovered near the edge of the phone before she let out a quiet breath and turned it toward Dr. Yoon, who read it carefully. When she looked up, her expression settled into something steady. There's, uh, there's a lot to unpack here, she said gently, but I want to start with your first sentence. Can I ask you something? I forgot that she was a woman. I forgot that Dr. Yoon was a woman. In my brain, I had it as like, oh, this is the Two's Company version of the doctor that gives the voice juice. But no, Dr. Yoon was a woman. I was wrong. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. There's a lot to unpack here, she said gently, but I want to start with your first sentence. Can I ask you something? Rumi gave a small nod. If your voice had never changed, if none of this had happened, would that be the only way someone could know you? Rumi went still, a faint crease forming between her brows as the question turned over in her head, searching for something solid to land on. Nothing came, only that same uncertain space. And after a moment, she shook her head slowly. What else would they notice? For a moment, it looked like she'd might answer out loud. She might answer out loud, the instinct rising out of habit before fading just as quickly. Her gaze dropped instead, thumbs moving across the screen as she typed a few words, deleted them, tried again, then paused. Eventually, she turned the phone back. I don't know. Dr. Yoon took that in just as easily as anything else. That's okay, she said softly. We don't have to know yet, but I do think it matters that your first answer wasn't nothing. You shook your head, Dr. Yoon added, tapping her notebook slightly. So some part of you already knows there's more there. It just can't waiting without pressure. Rumi other in her lap, the tension there softer than before, nearly gone. I think what you're really asking is, Dr. Yoon continued, glancing back at the phone, who am I if I can't speak? Rumi's throat tightened. Dr. Yoon set her book aside and leaned back slightly, giving the moment space instead of trying to fill it. Right now, it sounds like your voice feels like the center of everything, Dr. Yoon said, her tone measured. It's how you've connected with people, how you've expressed yourself, how you've protected yourself, and how you've comforted others. Over time, it became part of how you understand who you are. In her lap, Rumi's fingers laced together more tightly. It's a significant part of your life, Dr. Yoon continued, giving a small nod. So it makes sense that losing it feels this big. She gave a reassuring smile. And I don't think you're irrational for feeling that way. The tension in Rumi's shoulders loosened just a fraction. But I do wonder, Dr. Yoon added, if the size of that loss is making it harder to see anything else right now. Sometimes when something important changes, our brain zooms in on it, she said, gesturing lightly. It focuses so intensely on what's missing that everything around it starts to blur. That doesn't mean those other things disappeared, just that they're out of focus. You have other qualities that define who you are, Dr. Yoon went on, and maybe we just haven't spent much time looking at them yet. The room quieted again, the kind that didn't push for an answer. And after a moment, Dr. Yoon tilted her head slightly. Let me ask you something, Rumi. If I ask Mira who you are, do you think she'd start with your voice? Rumi hesitated, then slowly shook her head. What about Zoe? Another shake. And she knew? This time, the answer showed on her face before I could even think to type it. Exactly. Dr. Yoon's gaze flickered briefly toward the phone in her lap. Which makes me wonder if the question you wrote isn't the only one here. That maybe there's another question underneath it. Silence settled again, softer this time. Because every person you love seems to have found you without starting with your voice. The words lingered in the quiet room. And maybe, she added after a moment, that's something worth being curious about. Another pause, then more gently. And as for your question, whether your voice will come back, I do think it will, Rumi, but it's going to take time. Rumi's fingers curled slightly around the edge of her phone. Dr. Yoon straightened, flipping through her notebook before stopping on a marked page. I read the email you sent, she said. I made some notes because there's a lot in it. She gave a small, almost apologetic shake of her head. More than we can untangle in just one session. So for now, I want us to focus on a few key pieces. We'll take it one step at a time. Rumi stayed quiet, her attention fixed on her. To start, Dr. Yoon continued, I do believe it's possible for you to get your voice back. She let the words settle before going on. But this isn't only about your voice. It's about everything that's become tied to it. She lifted her hand slightly, linking two fingers together. What you went through wasn't just one thing. It was several experiences happening at once, all connecting back to the same place. Rumi's gaze lowered, her hands drawing closer together. You learned new information about your mother, Dr. Yoon said, more deliberate now. Information that changed your understanding of how she died. When something that foundational shifts like that, when what you believed no longer feels reliable, it can be deeply destabilizing. And then something that once represented comfort, lavender, something tied to her, to love, to memory, became associated with harm. Rumi's shoulders tensed slightly at that. That's a lot too, she added softly. Not just of a person, but of something that used to feel safe. She gave that a moment before continuing. And on top of that, before you had any real chance to process it, your body went through something physically overwhelming. A severe allergic reaction. You couldn't breathe. You lost control in a very immediate way. Rumi's throat worked as she swallowed, the motion small but visible. Dr. Yoon watched her for a moment before continuing, gentler now. So when I look at everything that's happened, I don't see separate events, she said. I see one painful experience stacking on top of another before you had a chance to recover from the last. She let the silence sit for a second before speaking again. When things build like that, the brain tries to connect them, to make sense of them, and sometimes it chooses a single point to center everything around. And for you, that point seems to be your voice. Rumi's eyes flickered slightly, something in her expression tightening. Your voice was present through all of it, Dr. Yoon went on. You were using it when you were overwhelmed, when you were scared, when your body was under stress. Now your system is linking your voice to that entire experience. So when you try to speak, it's not just about sound. Your body reacts as if you're stepping back into those moments. Rumi's gaze lowered, her posture drawing in just a fraction. And we're not going to force it, Dr. Yoon added, because forcing it tells your body it's right to resist. She leaned back slightly, leaving space between them. Instead, we're going to work on separating those connections, helping your brain and your body learn that your voice isn't the threat. And as that begins to change, the rest can start to follow. I'm going to check the comments. I don't know. I am too American to do that math. To be clear, I do not know the math. I just look it up. Dr. Yoon really said we don't have time to unpack all that. Weh. I picked up an overnight shift because I'm so sorry. Sending you so much strength. Okay, but as a culinary student, I know all of my temps in Fahrenheit and they are drilled into me. Skill issue. Fahrenheit makes no sense. It makes no sense. My phone battery is fine. Mhm. When I forget this is a college AU. Reef has a beta now. It me. That's good. That's good, Dane. When I tell you last week I worked 74 hours, 75 hours, and the week before that was 55. Girl, that's crazy. That's crazy. Rumi sounds like she sang a BPD. So I mean, Rumi has Rumi been diagnosed in TC, like diagnosed for everything? I'm thinking. I don't think so, but she definitely has things. So yeah. Artie, I need to pay off my credit cards. I understand. Let me I'll DM you. I'll DM you. At least Dr. Yoon gonna come out of this ordeal much richer. That's crazy. That's so crazy. Oh my god. I'm only a third of the way through my own editing and I've added 40 words. Okay. You've experienced a lot in a very short period of time, Dr. Yoon said gently. More than most people would reasonably be expected to process all at once. She glanced briefly at her notes, then back. When I read your email, one thing that stood out was the way you described feeling disconnected. Dr. Yoon held Rumi's gaze for a moment before continuing. Sometimes when people experience overwhelming trauma, the brain tries to protect itself. It creates distance, almost like a buffer between you and something that's too painful to fully take in. Rumi's focus drifted, settling somewhere lower, unfixed. So some of what you're describing sounds like dissociation, she went on, and possibly depersonalization too, that sense of being separated from yourself. Shocker. A pause, quieter this time. And you've survived horrible things before, Dr. Yoon continued, her expression softening. You've done that your entire life. You've pushed through loss, grief, fear, and things that never should have happened to you. And for that, you're undeniably strong, Rumi. Something in Rumi's vision wavered, the room softening at the edges. But being strong doesn't mean you're unaffected. It doesn't mean there isn't a limit to what any person can endure. Something, the body keeps the score. Your mind and body can only withstand so much pain before they start trying to protect themselves. Take care of yourselves, guys. So your brain did what it thought it needed to do. It created distance. She tilted her head just a little, softening her tone further. Not to hurt you, to protect you. The first tear slipped free before Rumi registered it, followed by another, quicker this time. She blinked hard, like that might stop it, but it didn't. Her breath catching as something inside her gave way all at once. Her hand came up, brushing at her cheek as if she could erase it before it was real. Without interrupting, Dr. Yoon nudged the tissue box closer. I think that's part of why this feels so overwhelming, she said. Rumi stared down at the box for a second before pulling a tissue free, her grip tightening around it, as if she needed something to hold on to. And it's also why thinking about what happened feels nearly impossible, Dr. Yoon continued. Every time your mind is close, it pulls back, not because you're avoiding it, but because it still hurts. A breath left Rumi, no, a breath left Rumi uneven, catching at the end. She lowered her head, pressing the tissue lightly against her cheek, but the tears didn't stop. They just kept coming. After a moment, she reached for her phone. Her thumbs hovered over the screen, unmoving at first, like even this took effort. When she finally began typing, it was slower than usual. A few seconds passed before she turned the screen toward Dr. Yoon. I get not being able to because of what happened, but I don't understand why I can't with stuff that's not related to it. I couldn't even tell my girlfriend I loved her. Dr. Yoon took a moment before responding, her gaze lingering on the screen as she considered the words carefully. Then she gave a small nod. That makes sense to be confused by. Rumi lowered the phone back into her lap. From what you're sitting, those things don't connect, Dr. Yoon continued. Telling your girlfriend you love her isn't about your mother, it isn't about lavender, and it isn't about the allergic reaction. Rumi followed along, a faint nod in agreement. But I don't think your brain is sorting things into categories quite that neatly right now. A slight frown crossed Rumi's face. Leaning forward a little, Dr. Yoon asked, when you tell someone you love them, what are you doing? The question stalled Rumi. She blinked, turning it over, buying time in the silence Dr. Yoon left open for her. Eventually, she typed a response. Being honest? A nod. Right, and what else? Rumi looked down at her phone again before typing another answer. Being vulnerable? Exactly. You're letting someone see something important. You're sharing a part of yourself that matters, and right now, vulnerability is probably one of the scariest things in the world for you, even if it doesn't feel like it is. Even if it doesn't feel like it, it is. Rumi's eyes lifted to meet hers. You trusted what you believed about your mother, and that changed, Dr. Yoon said. You trusted memories that once brought you comfort, and now those same memories hurt. You trusted your body, and then it failed you in a way that was frightening. So when you try to tell your girlfriend that you love her, I don't think your brain hears this is a completely unrelated situation. A faint, knowing curve touched her expression. I think it hears we're about to be vulnerable again. Rumi's attention dropped, her hands folding in on themselves. And vulnerability hasn't felt very safe lately. The words settled heavily in her chest, and Dr. Yoon allowed the silence that followed to linger. That doesn't mean you don't love her, she said after a moment. Rumi's vision blurred again, quicker this time, like the reaction came before she could brace for it. It doesn't mean you stopped caring or that you've lost your ability to connect. Dr. Yoon gently nudged the tissue box a little closer. It might mean you're overwhelmed and tired in a way that isn't just physical. Rumi swallowed hard. People often think trauma only affects the things directly connected to what happened, Dr. Yoon said. But sometimes it changes how we experience safety altogether. It affects how we trust, how we connect, and how much of ourselves we're willing to let other people see. So honestly, the fact that you're upset you couldn't tell your girlfriend you love her, a slight pause, that's actually a good sign. Rumi looked up, caught off guard as a quiet breath of amusement slipped from Dr. Yoon. It tells me the feeling is there, she said. You miss being able to express it. Her gaze stayed steady. And that's very different from not feeling it at all. Silence returned, softer this time. Rumi's attention dropped to the tissue in her hands, the edges folding under her fingers as the words settled. Eventually, Dr. Yoon glanced at the clock on the wall and exhaled lightly. Looks like we're out of time for today. Something in Rumi's posture dipped, subtle, but there. Dr. Yoon smiled gently. I know. It feels like we barely scratched the surface. Rumi lowered her gaze again. But I think we made good progress today. Dr. Yoon leaned back, reaching for a business card beside her notebook before holding it out. There's one thing I'd like to recommend. Rumi accepted the card without looking at it. A speech therapist. Her fingers her fingers tightened slightly around the cardstock, and Dr. Yoon noticed immediately. I know how that sounds, she said with a sympathetic smile. Like one more thing to deal with, one more appointment, one more person, One more reminder that things aren't where you want them to be. The card bent slightly between Rumi's fingers. But healing usually isn't just one thing. It's a lot of smaller pieces working together. She gestured lightly between them. I can help you understand why it's happening. They can help you work through the how. And neither of us expects you to have it all figured out anytime soon. Rumi looked unconvinced. Dr. Yoon's mouth curved slightly. Honestly, I'd be concerned if you did. That earned the faintest twitch at the corner of Rumi's mouth. After a moment, Dr. Yoon reached to the table beside her and picked up a plain black notebook, a pen resting neatly on top. It wasn't anything special, no design, no title, just a collection of blank pages waiting to be filled. She held it for a moment before offering it to Rumi. You've always liked writing. Rumi's attention settled on it immediately, and she took it carefully. I want you to try something. Not for school, not for therapy, and not because you're supposed to. Just write things down. Things you notice, things you like, things you don't. The way the air feels outside, the color of someone's shirt, a conversation you catch pieces of, a meal you enjoyed. It doesn't have to be important. Rumi's fingers brushed against the edge of the cover. A tiny huff of amusement escaped her, the first she'd managed all session. Dr. Yoon's expression warmed. And you don't have to show it to anyone. Not Mira, not Zoe, not even me. Something in Rumi's shoulders loosened. She flipped the notebook open slightly, brushing her thumb along the first page before letting it fall closed again. After a beat, Dr. Yoon tilted her head. Although there is something else you could try. Rumi glanced up. Dr. Yoon smiled. Ask Mira and Zoe a question. Ask them what comes to mind when they think about you. She leaned back, giving the idea space. You spend all day looking at yourself through your own eyes, and that's natural. But when we're struggling, our perspective can become very narrow, especially when we're hurting. She tapped the notebook lightly. When something important changes, it's easy to start measuring yourself against the thing you've lost. You stop noticing everything else because all your attention is focused on the empty space. Rumi's gaze lingered on the notebook in her lap, quieter now, but more present than before. But the people who love you don't experience you that way. They aren't carrying around a checklist. Take a shot every time you hear sirens. Anyway, but the people, no, don't do that. Please don't do that. But the people who love you don't experience you that way. They aren't carrying around a checklist of qualities and crossing things off. The corner of Dr. Yoon's mouth lifted. They just know you. Rumi swallowed. Sometimes borrowing someone else's perspective can remind us of things we've lost sight of, she continued. I have a feeling their answers might surprise you and help push you in the right direction. The room settled again, the quiet no longer as heavy. Dr. Yoon gestured lightly toward the pages. And focusing on what you can see, hear, touch, or smell can help anchor you. It gives your mind something solid to hold on to, the opposite of that floating feeling you described. Dr. Yoon let it linger before speaking one final time. We're not trying to replace your voice, she said. We're just making space for the rest of you to be heard too. The words settled somewhere deep inside Rumi. They didn't fix anything. They didn't erase the fear or untangle the uncertainty that still sat heavily in her chest, but they made a little more room around it. Dr. Yoon's expression softened. You don't have to figure all of this out at once, Rumi. Rumi stared down at the notebook resting in her lap. Slowly, she nodded. And for now, that felt like enough. This is like making me remember the time I contacted a therapist at my university, but this was during COVID, so I was still home. I hadn't come to New York. I was still home, and I contacted a therapist because I was having a mental breakdown, like via chat. I was like, I am not doing well. So I contacted the student health center, and the therapist was like, okay, notice things around the room. Can you tell me what you're smelling, what you're seeing, what you're touching, what you're everything like that? So memories. Don't make me take the shots. Do not take the shots. Do not take the shots. Is it really an arty stream without the sirens coming in randomly? I'm saying. I'm saying. It's canon event in any stream. This is Two's company, but they want a crowd. It's NYC when it isn't there. Oh, is it NYC when it isn't there? Oh my god. Why did TikTok start giving me so many notifs? Anyway. Blah 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 blah. Rumi sat at her desk, staring at the open notebook in front of her. The page stayed blank. She had been looking at it long enough for the edges of the paper to start blurring, her focus slipping in and out without ever quite settling. The pen turned slowly between her fingers, rolling back and forth against her thumb as her gaze drifted from the first line to the second, then back again, as if something might appear if she just waited long enough. Nothing did. She exhaled through her nose and dragged a hand over her face, pressing her palm briefly into her eyes before letting it fall away. When she looked down again, the page was still there, empty, expectant. The pen clicked softly as she uncapped it. For a moment, she just held it above the paper, the tip hovering. Then slowly, she lowered it. A small black dot appeared near the top of the page. She paused, watching the ink settle into the fibers, bleeding just slightly at the edges. After a second, she added another beside it. 2 dots. She leaned back a fraction, studying them like they might mean something if she looked long enough. They didn't. A quiet breath left her, heavier this time. She let the pen drop from her fingers, the plastic tapping softly against the desk as she folded forward, lowering her head until her forehead met the surface with a dull, gentle thunk. The cool wood pressed against her skin. The notebook stayed open in front of her, the 2 dots waiting at the top of the page, unchanged. Yeah, CPTSD is childhood PTSD. I'm just enjoying pizza and beer right now. I do think we need a list of diagnoses, like at least like after it finishes at least. Oh, is it complex PTSD? I fully thought the C standard for child, like something with child. I fully thought that. I guess I'm dumb. I guess I'm fucking dumb. It's a difficult thing to explain, but there are differences. I see. I see. I fully thought it had something to do with childhood trauma. Give me a second. Give me a second. Mhm. Chronic uh uh um the reason why I thought that is like child abuse is like a very big thing in CPTSD. That's the reason why I thought it. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Because it's chronic. Yeah. I see. I see. Mhm. I see. I see. Yeah, much more common in childhood trauma. Yeah. You learn something new every day. I think I did know it stood for like complex. I would have at least seen it, but I don't know. It didn't. I think it wasn't fully in my brain because I remember seeing complex PTSD and thinking it was like childhood PTSD before, and then learning it was complex PTSD, and then forgetting. Settle in my brain, pleek, 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 pleek. Um, Especially because like the C usually does stand for child in like in like some cases, like I'm thinking of like CSA, for example, and the C in that does stand for child. So never mind me. I see. I see. Zoe, don't eat anything yet. I'm getting roomy. A loud, exaggerated groan echoed down the hallway. Mira smiled to herself as she turned the corner. That wasn't a suggestion. I know, Zoe called back. She was being personally victimized. Mira shook her head and continued down the hall. Dinner had been ready for almost 5 minutes now. Normally, that would have been more than enough to summon Rumi without issue. Apparently, not today. By the time she reached Rumi's door, she slowed slightly. Nothing. No music filtering through the wood, no quiet pacing, no absent minded humming, no movement at all. Mira frowned faintly. She knocked once, twice, a third time, a little louder. Rumi, dinner's red. The rest of the sentence dissolved as she pushed the door open. Mira blinked. There was a brief, suspended moment where her brain tried very earnestly to process what it was seeing and failed completely. Rumi was upside down, and no, not metaphorically, not in a fell over dramatically kind of way, fully, intentionally upside down. Her legs and hips were still on the bed, anchored like that part made sense, while the rest of her body hung off the edge. Based. Based. I don't care. Based. Exactly. Her legs and hips were still on the bed, anchored like that. Sorry. I read that. Turned toward the doorway. Sorry. Her face, noticeably red, was turned toward the doorway, toward Mira. They stared at each other. A long silence passed between them. Mira's thoughts attempted to assemble themselves into something coherent. Is she. Why is she. How long has she been. Hi, Mira said finally, because apparently that was the most reasonable option available. Rumi blinked at her, still upside down. Dinner's ready, Mira added, after a beat, as if that clarified anything about the current situation. Rumi continued looking at her for another second before giving a small nod, as though this was a perfectly normal position from which to receive important household updates. Mira watched her. Rumi continued to hang there. There was a part of Mira, small but persistent, that wondered if she should intervene, ask a question, suggest gravity as a concern. Another part of her decided, very deliberately, not to. Instead, she waited. After a few more seconds, Rumi shifted, slowly. And then, without any apparent urgency, she tipped the rest of the way off the bed. There was a soft thump as she landed on the carpet. Mira winced slightly. Rumi, however, seemed entirely unaffected. She adjusted, folded her legs beneath her, and sat cross-legged on the floor, staring at nothing. Mira blinked again. Okay, she murmured, mostly to herself. Eventually, she pushed herself to her feet, brushed off her pants, and walked toward the door with the calm composure of someone who had not spent the last several minutes impersonating a bat. No explanation, no acknowledgement, not even a hint that anything unusual. She passed Mira without breaking stride. Mira watching her go. Listened to her footsteps disappear down the hall. Listened as her footsteps disappeared down the hall. There was a long moment where she just stood there in the doorway, staring at the empty space Rumi had left behind. A fond exhale escaped her as she shook her head, following after her. She really did have strange girlfriends. Mira got context later on. Apparently, Rumi had read somewhere online that increased blood flow could help with concentration and clearer thinking. That's Rumi for you. I love her. Outer thoughts, number one. The pen Dr. Yoon gave me writes smoother than the ones I use for class. Outer thoughts, number two. Mira's food was good. Outer thoughts, number three. The floor is colder near the door than it is near my bed. Very sweet. Zoe peeled the sticky note off her forehead, the adhesive making a faint sound as it came free. And she stared at it with her brows knitting slightly as she read. You want me to write what comes to mind when I think of you? She asked, her voice softer than usual. Rumi just nodded, offering no explanation or elaboration before turning and leaving. Zoe blinked after her, then looked back down at the bright neon green sticky note in her hand as if it might explain itself if she stared long enough. Mira pushed open her door with a towel draped over her shoulders, absently drying her hair as she stepped inside, but her attention was immediately caught by the bright blue square sitting in the middle of her bed. She frowned slightly as she stepped closer and picked it up, her eyes scanning the message once, then again, lingering a little longer the second time. Huh. Rumi got back with a quiet sigh, the weight of the day already sitting heavy in her chest. She shut the door behind her with a quiet click before slipping her bag off her shoulder and letting it fall beside her desk. A small exhale left her as she turned, and that was when she noticed them. Two sticky notes attached to lined paper waiting right in the center of her desk. Her steps slowed as something in her chest tightened, and she approached carefully before picking them up, one in each hand, and dropping into her chair. For a moment, she just stared at them, her fingers curling slightly around the edges, before finally lowering her gaze and beginning to read. By the time Rumi reached the end, her hands were shaking, and a quiet, uneven sound slipped out of her as her shoulders trembled. She pressed her lips together, but it didn't stop the tears, and a few fell anyway, landing softly against the paper before she carefully set both notes down on her desk, as if they might fall apart if she held them any longer. She dragged in a shaky breath as she wiped at her face quickly with the heel of her hand. Then, almost abruptly, she reached for her laptop, the screen lighting up as her fingers hovered over the keyboard for only a second before she typed. How much does a laminator cost? Very sweet. Very sweet. Very sweet. The little search sign. Love the little detail. Ciao. Bye, Dane. Oh yeah, she has the. Oh yeah, 100%. Oh yeah. I remember Toss. I remember reading early chapters of Two's Company and like live tweeting on my private, being like, "I love autistic Ruby. I love her." I mean, every Rumi is autistic to some extent to me. She is on the spectrum. Once an oddball, always an oddball, Rumi. Aw. Hi, Ma. Gluck, 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 gluck. I see the CPTSD comments. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. I see. Mhm, mhm. Let's read. Is this Zoe or Mira? This is Zoe. Okay, let's see. When I think of you is your presence. You have this presence that pulls me in without even trying. It's not loud or overwhelming. It's quiet, steady, And somehow it settles everything around you. Even when I'm not stressed, even when I don't think I need it, being near you still makes something in me unclench, like my body figured something out before I did. When you sit next to me, everything softens. It's like the edges of things aren't as sharp anymore. All the noise in my head lowers just enough for me to breathe easier without realizing I wasn't before. And I don't think you even notice you do it. You just exist. And somehow that's enough to make everything feel a little safer. I think that's my favorite thing about you. Not just the big things, not just how strong you are or how much you've been through, but the way you stay, the way you keep going, even when it's hard, even when you don't say anything at all. You don't have to speak for me to understand you. I see it in the way your hand finds mine without thinking, in the way you lean closer when you're tired, in the way you look at things like you're trying to make sense of them before they slip away. And I notice all of it. I think I always will. Sometimes I catch myself just watching you, not even in a weird way. Okay, maybe a little, but mostly because I'm trying to memorize it. The small things, the quiet things, the things I know you wouldn't think matter as much as they do. But they do. You do. More than I probably say out loud, more than I know how to say sometimes. I think that's the part I don't admit enough. That I don't just like being around you. I need you there. Not in a way that's heavy, not in a way that puts anything on you, just in a way where the world feels off when you're not next to me. Quieter, but not the good kind. I love you in a way that feels steady, like it's not going anywhere. Like even on your worst days, even when you pull away or go quiet or feel like too much, I don't see you like that. I just see you, and I'm still right here. I'm always going to be right here, even if you don't ask me to be, even if you don't think you deserve it. I'm not going anywhere. You're stuck with me. Sorry. Not really. Zoe, winking face. The first thing that comes to mind when I think of you is your eyes. They're honest. That was the first thing I noticed. Even when you try, you don't really hide in them. You might look away, you might go quiet, but it's all still there, just beneath the surface. They're expressive in a way that makes it impossible not to pay attention. Not just pretty, though they are, but something deeper. Something that feels like you're letting people see more than you mean to. Like there's always a piece of you slipping through, even when you're trying to keep yourself guarded. I think that's why I kept looking at you, why I still do. Because every time I do, I learn something new. Not in big, obvious ways, but in the small shifts. The way your eyes soften when you feel safe, the way they dart when you're overwhelmed, the way they linger just for a second longer than you realize when you're looking at something or someone you care about. I've started recognizing those moments. I pay attention to them. I think I always will. There's something about the way you feel things. You don't away. Even when you try to hold it in, it's still there, still real, still honest. And I love that about you. I love how much there is to you, even in the quiet, even when you think you're being unreadable. You're not. Not to me. I see you in ways I don't think you realize yet. In the pauses, in the glances, in the way your expression changes when you think no one's looking. I am, though. I always am. And it never feels like too much. It feels like something I want to protect, something I want to be careful with. Because when you look at me, really look at me, there's something in it that stays with me long after. Something warm, something steady, something that makes me feel chosen. And I don't take that lightly. I don't take you lightly. I love you in a way that feels intentional, not rushed, not fleeting, just certain. Like I saw you truly and decided I wasn't going anywhere. And I haven't. I won't. Heart. You go to sap contest and your opponents are Zoe and Mira. Oh my god, especially Mira. Can you imagine going against the lover girl? My god. No, yeah, I'm like if the situation wasn't so serious, I'd be like giggling, kicking my feet. The room was intentionally calm, soft lighting, neutral tones, nothing harsh, nothing unpredictable. Every detail arranged to lower the body's guard before the mind had a chance to resist. A space designed to suggest, quietly and consistently, that nothing bad would happen here. Dr. Huang, do you pronounce the H? Dr. Huang? Huang. I'm getting okay. I need to look it up before I like butcher it. Huang. Yeah, Huang. Yeah, Huang. Okay, yeah, okay, I was right. Okay. Dr. Huang knew better than to rely on that alone. Safety, especially for patients like this, wasn't something you could stage. It had to be learned again, slowly. Rumi sat across from her, back straight but not at ease, hands clasped tightly in her lap, not fidgeting, no restless movement to track, no nervous habits to interrupt, just stillness. Too still. Dr. Huang let her gaze settle without staring, taking in the details she'd learned to read over years of practice. The set of the shoulders elevated but held in place. The tension in her fingers, not shifting, not releasing, the kind of control that wasn't calm but containment. Her file had already outlined the basics: temporary vocal rest following trauma, mutism extending well past expected recovery, no structural damage significant enough to justify the persistence, which narrowed things. Not mechanical, protective. Dr. Huang didn't challenge that directly, not this early. Okay, she said gently, her tone even, unhurried. We're not going to start with words today. Rumi didn't move much, but there it was, a slight drop in her shoulders. Reduced pressure. Good. That's already a lot, Dr. Huang added, acknowledging it without drawing too much attention. She leaned forward just slightly, forearms resting on her knees, not closing distance, just making herself more present, grounded, predictable. I just want you to breathe, she continued. And when you exhale, let a sound come with it. No shaping it, no forcing it into anything. Just let it exist. Rumi's fingers tightened. There it was, Dr. Huang noted internally. Anticipation, not resistance, fear of the moment between. She watched closely as Rumi inhaled, slower than expected. The breath rose, then paused at the top, held just for a fraction too long. A familiar pattern, the body preparing, bracing, waiting for something it had learned to expect. Nothing came. Take your time, Dr. Huang murmured, keeping her voice steady, keeping no signal that anything had gone wrong. Rumi exhaled. Silence. Not for lack of effort. Dr. Huang could see it, the subtle movement in her throat, the way the muscles engaged and then stalled. The attempt was there, but the follow through just never arrived. Interruption point? Initiation, not inability. Dr. Huang didn't react. No correction, no reassurance that might turn the moment into something evaluative. Just space. Again, same tone, same pace. No urgency. Ah, Rumi swallowed. The hesitation came sooner this time, settling in before the breath even fully formed. Dr. Huang had seen this before, the anticipation becoming the barrier. Not the act of speaking itself, but the moment just before it. The body stepping in first, tightening, overriding, protecting. It was enough to recognize. Dr. Huang could see it take shape, subtle but unmistakable. The tightening along Rumi's shoulders, the way her hands pressed more firmly together, each finger held in place like any small movement might undo something fragile. Control, but not ease. Containment. Rumi's gaze stayed fixed on the floor. The room held its quiet, just the low hum of the air conditioning, distant movement beyond the office walls. Nothing intrusive, nothing that demanded urgency. Dr. Huang let the silence stretch, deliberate in her stillness, observing. There is no wrong answer here, she said softly. A small nod from Rumi, minimal but present. Good, still engaged. Rumi inhaled again after a moment. Slower this time, measured, like she was trying to follow something she couldn't quite feel yet. The breath rose, paused briefly at the top. There it is again, that hold. Then she exhaled. Dr. Huang's focus sharpened. A flicker of movement in Rumi's throat, the beginning of coordination. Air, muscle, intention aligning for just a fraction of a second. Something almost formed, then it collapsed. The breath left her soundlessly. Rumi's jaw tightened immediately, the reaction quick and unfiltered. Disappointment first, then the familiar layering of embarrassment, frustration, tightening in right behind it. Dr. Huang nodded once. Good. Rumi's head lifted, breaking through the tension. Dr. Huang held her gaze, steady, unambiguous. I mean it. A small gesture toward her, grounding the moment instead of letting it slip into failure. You stayed with it. Rumi didn't look convinced. Not unusual. Dr. Huang leaned back slightly, easing the intensity without withdrawing. Progress isn't just producing sound, she continued. Sometimes it's allowing the attempt to happen at all, especially when part of you expects it to fail. Rumi's hands had started to move now, thumbs pressing into each other again and again, rhythmic, regulating or holding something back. Dr. Huang let it happen, didn't interrupt it. Let's try again, she said, quieter this time. Same thing, just the breath. A nod. This inhale came differently, sharper, quicker. Dr. Huang registered it immediately, the shift out of control and into urgency. The chest rising too high, shoulders following with it. Breath pulled from the wrong place, not grounded, not safe. Slow it down, she said gently, but Rumi was already exhaling. This time, there was a sound, barely there, thin, strained. It caught halfway out like something resisting its own release. A fragile thread of voice that didn't fully form before it faltered. Rumi's hand flew to her throat. Her fingers pressed lightly at first, tentative, like she was checking for something, then firmer, pressing into the space just below her jaw, as if she could feel something closing that wasn't physically there. Dr. Huang didn't move from her seat, didn't rush her. Rumi, she said, her voice lowering, steadying, designed to meet her where she was without adding pressure. Look at me. Rumi didn't. Her breathing had already shifted, short, uneven pulls that never quite filled her lungs, each inhale cutting off before it could settle, escalating. Rumi? Dr. Huang repeated, a touch firmer now, but still even. You're okay. Nothing is happening to your throat. That feeling. Rumi shook her head sharply, backing up slightly in her chair, like distance alone might make it stop. Her next inhale hitched, too fast, too shallow, too familiar. Dr. Huang recognized it immediately, not from the file, but from experience. Not vocal strain, a conditioned response, a memory surfacing through the body before the mind could name it. She adjusted without hesitation. Feet on the ground, she said, her tone shifting, more directive now, but not harsh, anchoring. Press them down. Can you do that for me? No response. Rumi's hand stayed at her throat, fingers pressing harder now, like she was trying to force space open that had never actually closed. Rumi, look at me. This time her eyes snapped up, wide, glossed over, not fully present, caught somewhere between here and somewhere else, dissociating. Good, Dr. Huang said immediately, catching that moment of connection before it slipped. Stay with me. You're in this room. You're safe. Rumi's breathing stuttered again, uneven, unstable. Don't try to make sound right now. We're done with that. Dr. Huang softened her tone just slightly, not losing structure, just easing the edge. A flicker crossed Rumi's face, brief but clear. Relief. Permission to stop. Just breathe, Dr. Huang continued. In through your nose. Slow. I'll do it with you. She demonstrated. Steady inhale, controlled, followed by a longer, grounded exhale. Predictable. Repeatable. Rumi tried to follow. The first breath came shaky, uneven at the edges. The second steadied slightly, still tight but less fractured. By the third, the sharp panic had dulled, not gone, but no longer climbing. Her hand slipped from her throat, not all at once, hesitant, reluctant, but it dropped. Her fingers curled instead into the fabric of her sleeve, gripping tightly, redirecting the tension somewhere safer. Dr. Huang noted it without commenting. Substitution, good. Stay with that, she said quietly. You're doing it. No praise that would overwhelm the moment, just acknowledgement. Rumi's expression shifted in a subtle, uncertain way, like something didn't quite line up. And after a moment, she reached for her phone. Her fingers still trembled slightly as she typed, pausing once before continuing, as if she needed to get the words out before they slipped away. When she finished, she turned the screen toward Dr. Huang. I don't understand. This never happened before when I tried to talk. My throat would just close up, not this. Not feeling like I was back there, like I couldn't breathe. Dr. Huang read it carefully before nodding. That makes sense, she said, her tone steady. What was happening before was your body stopping the sound early, she explained, lifting her hand in a small, non clinical gesture to give shape to the idea. It was cutting it off before it could even start. That kind of shutdown is protective. It's fast and efficient, and it keeps you from getting close to the part that feels dangerous. What just happened now is different, she continued more quietly. You got closer, close enough that your body didn't just stop your voice, but reacted to what your voice is connected to. She let that settle before adding, memory, sensation, the feeling of not being able to breathe. At that, Rumi's throat moved again in a reflex she didn't seem aware of, and Dr. Huang noticed it without interrupting. When something like that gets stored, she went on more gently, it doesn't stay as a clear thought. It gets held in the body, in the muscles, in your breathing, in your throat. She tapped lightly against her sternum once. So when you got closer to using your voice just now, closer than you have before, your body didn't recognize it as trying to speak. It recognized it as that. Rumi's grip tightened again, but she didn't shut down. She held on, staying present even as the tension lingered. That doesn't mean you're getting worse, Dr. Huang added, her voice steady and clear. It actually means the opposite. You're getting past the first layer. We're not going to force this, she said. Your voice isn't gone. It just doesn't feel safe coming out yet. We'll get there, she said instead, but not by pushing past that feeling, by teaching your body it doesn't need it anymore. Rumi didn't nod, but she didn't look away either. Her breathing was still her breathing was still uneven, and her fingers still curled tightly into her sleeve. Yet she stayed present, listening, and for now, that was more than enough. Water break. Hi, Miles. Chapter 43. 43 of 45. Loses my mind. Loses my mind. I'm gonna check something real quick. Give me a second. I'm just gonna look at something. This is also my little mini vocal rest. Very cute, very cute. I'll show it to you after the stream. Because the body keeps the score. Period. I need to read that book. I need to read that book. Hydrate or die straight, y'all. Did I talk about the time I said that at work? Forgetting that not everyone at work is queer. Listen, if I said it at my new job, it would play better because like everyone at my new job is queer. Like I am like working as like a performer, so everyone is gay. It's great. I'm not live on Discord. This is not an 18 plus chapter. So just YouTube and TikTok. I think you did, yeah. My new job though, my new job is so great. My coworker at my job the other day went, "Oh my god, this shift is really the girls, gays, and the days." And then someone else went, "Isn't that everyone here?" And then we had to be like, "Wait, this person, yeah, this person, yeah. Is this person queer?" And then we were like kind of thinking about that. Well, he has a girlfriend, but we don't know if, if he's queer. It's dangerous out there. Straight people really can't be anywhere. It's crazy that straight people exist. Theater kids. Exactly. I love it. Like I have like poly coworkers, like they're like trans coworkers, just like gay coworkers. It's great. It's freaking great. Oh, me too, girl. Me too. Among Us, but it's just find the cis person. No, that's what we were saying. We were like, is anyone cishet here? Is anyone cishet? Oh, it was fun. It was cute. Okay, we're back. I'm gonna, yeah, I think I'm gonna keep going until like 10 or 10:30 because I'm streaming tomorrow as well. So because I have work tomorrow. I can't stream past midnight. uh Rumi? Zoe's voice came out softer than she meant it to as she leaned against the side of the couch, watching her. Rumi hadn't moved much since they'd gotten back. The television was on, filling the room with bright colors, loud music, and rapid fire dialogue, but none of it seemed to be reaching her. Her eyes tracked the movement across the screen, sure, blinking every now and then, but there was no reaction beyond that. No small smile, no flicker of amusement, no sign that she was actually absorbing any of it. She was just there. The session hadn't gone well. That much was obvious. She didn't need details. She could see it in the way Rumi held herself, like something in her had just quietly shut a door and locked it. And Zoe hated that. Hated that there wasn't an easy fix. She hated that she couldn't wrap her arms around the problem and squeeze until it went away. Most of all, she hated looking at Rumi and feeling like she was standing several feet away from her, even while sitting in the same room. Rumi? She tried again, a little more confidently this time. It took a second. Then Rumi blinked, slow like she was surfacing, and turned her head toward her. Okay, she's here. A little, at least. Zoe pushed herself off the arm of the couch and moved closer, and Rumi shifted automatically, sitting up just enough to make space for her. The gesture was small, familiar, but it was enough to make Zoe's chest ache. She settled beside her, clasping her hands together in her lap before immediately starting to fidget with them. Zoe needed to say something. The problem was that every version of the conversation sounded terrible once it reached her head. What if Rumi misunderstood? What if it sounded like she was giving up on her? What if she heard it as, "You're never getting your voice back, so here's the next best thing"? God, that was the last thing she wanted. She believed Rumi would get her voice back. She wanted her to get her voice back. Whatever she was trying to say had nothing to do with replacing anything, yet every attempt to put it into words seemed to come out wrong before it had even left her mouth. Zoe pressed her lips together tightly, glaring down at her hands. Maybe this was a bad idea. Maybe she should leave it alone for now and wait until another day when Rumi seemed a little more present and she could explain herself properly. She could always change the subject instead. Hurry, make a joke, suggest a movie, ask if she wanted a snack. A soft weight settled over her hand. Zoe froze and glanced over. Rumi was already looking at her, brows pulled together just slightly, her hand resting over Zoe's like she'd done it without thinking. Her fingers squeezed once, gentle, grounding. She could see the spiral happening in real time and was quietly telling her to stop. Zoe let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding, shoulders dropping slightly as some of the tension leaked out of them. Okay, she muttered under her breath, more to herself than anything. She shifted closer without really thinking about it, her hand turning slightly under Rumi's so she could hold onto it instead of just being held. Her gaze stayed firmly fixed on their hands. Eye contact was absolutely not happening for this conversation. I she started, then immediately winced. Okay, wait, let me. She huffed out a small, nervous breath, dragging her free hand down her face before trying again. I don't know if you know this, she said, words coming out a little too fast now, but I actually know like a decent amount of sign language. Not, okay, not a lot. I'm not fluent or anything, but she swallowed, already feeling herself losing control of the sentence. Mystery taught me some, she added quickly. Well, not taught exactly, but he knows a lot because his sister's deaf, so I kind of pick things up from him and stop talking, get to the point. Zoe squeezed her eyes shut for half a second. I was just, she tried again, softer this time. I was wondering if maybe you'd want me to teach you some of it. There it was. Not because she rushed, head snapping up before she could stop herself, panic flashing across her face. Not because I think you're not gonna get your voice back or anything like that. I don't think that, I swear. Her grip on Rumi's hand tightened without her noticing. I want to meet you where you are right now, she said, the words finally slowing, settling into something more honest. And if this makes things even a little easier for you to like communicate or not feel so stuck, her voice faltered slightly. And I think you'd actually like it, she added, quieter now. You're good at stuff like that, patterns, memorizing, all of it. A small breath. And she let out a weak, self conscious laugh, shaking her head a little. I don't know. I want you to have more ways to be heard, however that looks. The words hung there, a little messy, a little uneven, but real. Zoe exhaled slowly, her shoulders slumping as the adrenaline wore off. Yeah. Only then did she glance back up at Rumi, a little unsure, a little exposed, like she'd just said too much and not enough at the same time. Zoe bit her lip, her chest tightening as she searched Rumi's face for any kind of reaction and found nothing. No smile, no frown, not even a flicker of recognition. Just a stillness that made her stomach drop. Oh no. But then she saw it. A small crack in that stillness, Rumi's eyes beginning to shimmer as her lip trembled before she pressed it in, trying to hold it together. Oh my god. Zoe's heart lurched painfully in her chest. Great, you did it. You made her cry. That's exactly what she needed right now. Good job, Zoe. I'm sorry, she blurted, scooting closer in a rush as panic flooded her voice. Please don't be upset. I didn't mean it like that. You don't have to do it. I was just saying it like as a suggestion, and I'm sorry. Rumi lifted her hand, cutting her off mid spiral, and Zoe froze instantly. A small shake of her head. Not that. Rumi wiped at her eyes quickly, as if she didn't want the tears to exist long enough to be acknowledged, then reached for her phone with slightly unsteady hands while Zoe watched every movement like it might decide her fate. There was a pause, typing, stopping, typing again, before Rumi turned the screen toward her. I'd love to. Zoe blinked once, then twice, like she didn't quite trust what she was seeing. Really? She asked carefully. Rumi nodded, more firmly this time, and something in Zoe's chest loosened so fast it almost hurt. Oh, okay, yeah. She straightened up, her words still tripping over themselves, but lighter now, breathless instead of panicked. Do you want to start now, or? Rumi suddenly grabbed her shoulders, and Zoe jolted, eyes widening as she stared at her, intense, focused, and squeezed hard. Zoe let out a small, nervous laugh. Okay, yeah, that's a yes, got it. And despite everything, despite the tears still clinging to her lashes and how fragile she'd looked just seconds ago, that was still Rumi, direct, certain, a little intense in a way that made Zoe's chest warm instead of tighten. God, she missed that. Zoe smiled, softer now, as she shifted closer and tucked her legs up onto the couch so she was fully facing her, taking Rumi's hands again with more intention this time. Okay, she said gently. We'll start easy. Just basics, yeah? Nothing overwhelming. Rumi nodded immediately, but then paused, something flickering across her face before she suddenly stood up and walked away. Zoe blinked, staring after her as confusion rushed in. What just did I say something wrong again? Was that too fast? Too much? Should I have? Footsteps came quickly, cutting off her thoughts, and Rumi returned just as fast as she'd left, dropping back onto the couch beside her with a small bounce as her notebook and pencil landed on the coffee table with a soft thud. Zoe stared at them, then at her, then back again. Oh, a small, helpless laugh slipped out of her. Of course she'd want to write it down, keep it, go over it later, make sure she didn't lose it. God, there you are. Zoe's chest tightened again, but this time it felt different, warmer, fuller. She cleared her throat softly, shifting a little where she sat. Okay, like I was saying, greetings, she said, trying to sound more put together than she actually felt. And then they just kept going. I'm thinking, what is hello? Anyway, what Zoe had assumed would be short, but somehow what Zoe had assumed was that it would be short, but somehow it had stretched into an hour, then two, and somehow three until time stopped feeling real altogether. At first, she stayed within what she knew, basic signs, simple phrases, things she'd picked up from watching and practicing over time. But it didn't take long before she reached the edge of that comfort. Okay, wait, Zoe muttered at one point, already reaching for her phone. I know this one. I just hold on. She didn't know it. Not really. So they learned it together. That became their rhythm after a while. Zoe showing what she could before both of them leaned in toward her phone, watching short videos, pausing, replaying, and copying the movements side by side. At some point, their shoulders brushed, and neither of them moved away. Zoe found herself watching Rumi more than the videos, the way her brows pulled together in deep concentration, as if she could will her hands into getting it right, the slight tension in her fingers when she repeated a motion again and again until it finally clicked. And her eyes. God, the way her eyes lit up. Zoe tested her once, signing something small and casual, not even expecting her to catch it. Rumi paused, then signed back. Correctly. Zoe blinked, startled, and then laughed, bright and a little disbelieving. Wait, okay, you actually got that. Rumi's expression shifted, a flicker of pride, a spark, and it hit Zoe all at once, somewhere deep in her chest. That was the most expressive she'd seen her in days, and it wasn't forced or fragile. It was just there, present, alive in a way she hadn't been. Zoe swallowed, something tight and emotional catching in her throat as she looked at her. God, I missed you. The front door suddenly opened, the sound cutting through the quiet rhythm they'd built. Zoe glanced up instinctively as Mira walked in, moving quickly with her face twisted in discomfort, heading straight for her room. Never eating that again, she muttered under her breath, one hand pressed to her stomach as she disappeared down the hallway. Zoe blinked, then let out a small, amused huff before looking back. But the moment her eyes landed on Rumi again, her expression softened without her meaning to. It was still there, that focus, that quiet determination, the sense that she was waiting, ready, unwilling to lose even a second of this. Zoe's chest warmed. I have another thing I can teach you, she said, her voice gentler now, as if the moment had settled into something more meaningful than just practice. Rumi straightened immediately, nodding quickly, eager. It made Zoe smile. She shifted closer again, lifting her hands between them. This one's important, she added, a little quieter. Watch closely. I'm guessing it's like I love you or something. Me too, Mira. Me too. Hi, Rumi! I definitely want to learn sign language properly at some point. Um, the annoying thing is that BSL and ASL are different. I know like some signs in ASL. Please, thank you. Um, what was it? Wait, wait. This is neighbor. Um, wonder. Um, oh yeah, it's so annoying that they're different. The grammar is also different. I'm like, why are you making it harder? Also in BSL, this is please in ASL. I think please in BSL is like this as well. Like this is thank you and this is please. Like it's so like God, why are you making it complicated? Oh. Anyways, I'm like thinking. The reason why I know neighbor is because we use that in our show. Like neighbor is a word that we use a lot in our show. More, this means more. More. Um and that might be all. I mean, I know some of the choreography. I know. I guess I know some ASL from like watching Deaf West Spring Awakening. Touch me just like that. I know Biscuit is tapping on your elbow. I want to learn KSL. I know Biscuit is tapping your elbow because sailors used to tap ration biscuits on their elbow to knock any bugs off. Interesting. Oh my god! Did you lose TC Mira? That's sad. That's sad. We call this a rotating cast. Rotating cast of role players. The fuck? Weird comments. Nor. Nor. How's YouTube doing? Nothing happening over here. That's good. Okay. Mira, hurry up in the bathroom. Rumi has to show you something. Zoe called from the other side of the door, knocking like she was personally offended by its existence. Mira squeezed her eyes shut, hands braced against the sink as she finished rinsing them. Of course, the second her stomach tried to kill her, Zoe decided this was the moment. Okay, I hear you. Can I finish washing my hands first? Jeez. And stop banging on the door like you're trying to break it down, she snapped, yanking the door open. And there she was, big eyed and bright, smiling like nothing in the world had ever gone wrong. Mira felt her irritation deflate on impact. Hey. Zoe's grin widened like that was all she needed. She stepped forward instantly, wrapping her arms around Mira in a hug, and just as quickly recoiled, her face twisting as she pinched her nose. Dude, the bathroom reeks! Mira stared at her for half a second, unimpressed, before rolling her eyes and shutting the door behind her. First off, don't dude me, she muttered, stepping closer again anyway, because despite everything, despite her stomach still cramping and her pride taking a hit, she still wanted a hug. Always did. And I'm sorry shitting out my guts isn't going to smell like rose petals and candy. Zoe barely got a laugh out before Mira wrapped her arms around her again, tighter this time, grounding herself in the familiar warmth. You definitely have green particles floating around your ass, Stinky. Yeah, okay. Mira pulled back, immediately scowling as she felt heat creep up her neck. Zoe had this talent, no, a curse, for saying the most insane things with complete confidence. Kidding! Zoe rushed, grabbing her again before she could fully step away, pressing quick kisses along her jaw and cheek like she was trying to undo the damage in real time. I still love you, even if you're stinky sometimes. Mira huffed, but she didn't pull away this time. I'd hope so, she grumbled, though her grip loosened, her body melting back into her without thinking about it. Zoe tilted her head up, studying her face now, softer. What'd you eat? Mira let her head drop against Zoe's shoulder, eyes slipping shut for a second. My classmate brought budejige, she muttered, voice dull with regret. It was spicy, like really spicy. I thought I'd be fine. It had, in fact, not been fine. Zoe's hand came up to rub slow, absent minded circles against her back, warm and grounding. Yikes, she sighed, voice muffled against Mira's shoulder. Yeah, Mira huffed, letting her weight lean into her a little more. They stayed like that for a while, the atmosphere quiet and comfortable. And then, butthole feeling extra loose now, huh? Excuse me? What? It's true, isn't it? Mira groaned, pulling back just enough to pinch the bridge of her nose, eyes squeezing shut like she could physically reset the conversation. Like, what am I supposed to say to that? Oh my god, I love this fucking fic so much. Oh my god. Um Zoe shrugged, completely unhelpful. Over easy? Zoe. A beat. I apologize. Wait. I apologize. Wait, is that? I apologize. Mira sighed softly, dragging a hand down her face as she stepped further into the room, her stomach still twisting faintly in protest. Anyway, you still know KSL, right? Zoe asked suddenly. Mira blinked, caught off guard by the shift. Uh, yeah, I took a class freshman year, remember? She said, glancing at her. It's been a minute, though, so I might be a little rusty. Good enough. Come on. Before she could question it, Zoe grabbed her wrist and started dragging her out of the room. Mira stumbled slightly, letting herself be pulled along despite the lingering ache in her body. Right. Rumi wanted to show her something. That alone was enough to quiet any complaint before it could form. All right, Rumi, she's here, Zoe called as they entered the living room. Mira's gaze landed on her immediately. Rumi was sitting on the couch, shoulders slightly hunched, fingers worrying at the hem of her shirt. Nervous. That made something in Mira's chest tighten. You wanted to show me something? Mira said, her voice softening without her meaning it to. Rumi glanced up, then nodded quickly, her cheeks already tinged pink. She hesitated, just for a second, then slowly lifted her hands. Mira straightened a little, her attention locking in. Rumi made a fist with one hand, then with the other she circled over it, palm flat, movement a little unsure, a little stiff. Mira's brows furrowed. That her brain snagged on it immediately. Familiar. So familiar. Rumi glanced up at her mid motion, cheeks puffing slightly in that way she always did when she was trying too hard, like she could physically push the answer out of Mira's head. Fuck. Mira searched her memory, frustration flickering under her skin. She knew this. She knew this. Can you do it again? Mira asked gently, already annoyed with herself for not getting it the first time. Rumi nodded quickly and repeated the motion, slower this time. Mira watched her hands carefully. The shape, the movement, the intention behind it. Oh, it clicked. I love you. She signed, I love you. Mira's gaze lifted from Rumi's hands to her face. And God, the way she was looking at her, hopeful, terrified, wide open in a way Mira hadn't seen in what felt like forever. Mira felt something in her chest give all at once. Her expression melted, warmth flooding in as she smiled, softer, steadier. I love you too, Rumi. Rumi's head snapped up fully at that. For a split second, she just stared, and then her face crumpled. Mira barely had time to register it before Rumi was crying, really crying, like something inside her had finally cracked open. Oh, hey, hey. Mira moved immediately, pulling her into a tight hug, one hand coming up to cradle the back of her head as she tucked her in close. I know, she murmured, pressing her chin gently against the top of her head. I know. I hear you, baby. Rumi let out a choked sound, her hands gripping tightly into Mira's shirt like she needed something solid to hold on to. Mira's chest ached. God, she'd been holding that in. For how long? Mira pressed a soft kiss to her temple, lingering there for a second before glancing up at Zoe. Zoe looked like she was barely holding it together, eyes glassy, lip caught between her teeth. You guys were practicing? Mira asked quietly. Zoe nodded. Yeah, she said, voice softer now. I asked her if she wanted to learn with me, and she said yes. Mira looked back down at Rumi, still tucked into her, still clinging. Something warm and heavy settled in her chest. Good, she murmured, squeezing her a little tighter. I'm not the best, but I'd like to learn too. She meant it, not just for convenience, not just because it would help, but because this right here mattered. Really? Okay, we were watching this one video, Zoe said, already turning and heading back toward the couch to grab her phone. Mira shifted her grip on Rumi then, without much thought, slid one arm under her knees and the other around her back. She lifted her, and Rumi let out a small, startled noise, and her grip tightening instinctively. Her grip tightening instinctively. Come on, she murmured, carrying her over. She set them both down on the couch beside Zoe, Rumi still half in her lap, like she belonged there. Which, yeah, she did. Mira's gaze flicked to the coffee table, landing on the notebook and pencil sitting there. Her expression softened instantly. Of course. Mira shook her head slightly, something fond and aching settling deep in her chest as she looked back at her. She was really trying, and that alone made Mira want to meet her there every single time. Outer thoughts, number 15. Sometimes going outside and just breathing in the air feels like the world is resetting itself. It's strange how something so simple can feel so sharp when you actually pay attention to it. The way the air changes depending on where you are, the way it carries temperature, movement, even silence. It doesn't really ask anything from you, it just exists. And for a moment, you can exist with it instead of inside your own head. I think I forget how grounding that can be until I'm actually there, standing still, realizing I've been holding my breath in ways I didn't notice before. I should start running again. Interesting, interesting, interesting. I'll have a little sip of water. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Dang. Yeah. I know about enjoy the silence. I was thinking about it. Mute Rumi Mira already knows some sign language and Rumi ends up teaching Zoe. Yeah, I know about enjoy the silence. It's been on my list. Again, I'm in a very I don't feel like reading fics in my free time situation right now. Unfortunate. What is this? Thank you. Got it. Sorry, something popped up. Reading an LGBTQ plus romance novel. I mean, yeah. Totally get it. I've been the same lately. Yeah. I'm just like, bleh. Like I said, my job is tiring, and that's not dismissing anyone else's job. It's just that I haven't had like this constant of a job in a while. I have like 20 fics I've had open for months and have been able to read. I mean, and like 100 more on the list. You've read a lot though. Sam, you've read a lot. You've read a lot, so I'm like, yeah. Anyway. Oh my god, Toss, thank you. You said 20 oranges. Thank you. The cold bit through Rumi's skin, sharp enough to make everything feel more real, more immediate. Her footsteps fell in a steady rhythm against the ground, each one pulling her forward, the sound of them becoming the only thing she could properly focus on. Her lungs burned in a way that felt almost good, like they were finally doing something, finally keeping up after being held too tight for too long. So she kept running. Outer thoughts, number 24. Zoe and Mira have a way of making me feel seen on the days I feel the most transparent. Learning KSL with them feels like being given another way to exist in the world, one where I'm still understood even when I can't speak. Typing things out always feels like I'm a step behind the moment. This feels like I'm finally inside it again. Outer thoughts, number 26. Sometimes I try to understand what I did to end up with people like this beside me. It feels uneven, like I skipped something and still got here anyway. Maybe it has something to do with everything that happened when I was younger. Like the world is trying to even something out. Like it was worth it. No, not that. If I could go back, I don't think I'd try to fix anything. I don't think she would believe me if I said it gets better right away. I think I'd just sit next to her, stay long enough that she knows she's not alone in it. And then maybe I'd tell her quietly that we make it out, that there's an end to it, even when it feels endless, that there's light at the end of the tunnel, even when you can't see an opening yet. And somehow, we find it anyway. Outer thoughts, number 27. Zoe has a way of making the world feel closer. Before, I thought people meant the same thing when they said someone made them feel grounded. I thought it was supposed to feel dramatic somehow. It doesn't. It feels like her stealing half my fries. It feels like her putting her cold feet on me without warning. It feels like her talking about something completely ridiculous until I accidentally start paying attention again. It feels ordinary, which I think is why it works. Zoe's head had been resting in my lap, and I could feel the weight of it. Warm, real, familiar. Her hair spilled across my thighs, soft beneath my fingers, as I absent-mindedly ran my hand through it. I wasn't even sure when I'd started doing it, only that I hadn't stopped. She pressed a kiss just below my collarbone, light and careful, before following it with another near my shoulder, and then one against my wrist, right over the pale line of a scar. She always treated them that way, not like something ugly or broken, but simply as a part of me. Her lips lingered against another scar for a second longer, and something in my chest loosened. Then she tilted her head up toward me, her eyes finding mine before she leaned in and kissed me. The kiss was soft at first, barely there, and I kissed her back without thinking. It was nice, simple, comfortable. We stayed like that for a while, and it wasn't unusual for us. Sometimes Zoe just liked kissing for the sake of kissing. There was never some destination she was trying to reach or an expectation hanging over either of us. It was just warmth and closeness and the quiet comfort of being loved by someone who genuinely enjoyed being near me. I liked those moments. I liked this moment. I wanted to stay in it. But after a while, it became harder. Not because of Zoe and not because I wanted to stop. I didn't. I wanted to stay exactly where I was, with her head in my lap and her lips brushing against my skin, but something inside me began to drift anyway. The feeling arrived so gradually that I almost didn't notice it. The warmth of her lips was still there, the weight of her head was still there, and my hand was still moving through her hair, yet somehow everything felt a little farther away. It was like someone had taken a step backward from the world, then another, then another. Nothing disappeared. Everything remained exactly where it had been, but it all felt slightly less real. The softness of her hair became harder to hold on to. The warmth in my chest dulled around the edges. Even the room seemed quieter than it should have been, distant in a way, as though there were a sheet of glass between me and everything else. I could still see Zoe. I could still feel her. I still loved her. But the feeling itself started slipping through my fingers before I could fully hold onto it, like trying to keep water cupped in my hands. I knew I was here. I knew I was. Yet it felt like I was living inside the moment, and it felt less like living inside the moment and more like watching it happen from somewhere nearby, as though I had stepped slightly outside myself and was observing everything from a distance I couldn't quite measure. Further, further, further. Hey! Zoe's voice cut through the haze. I blinked and the room lurched back into focus. Zoe was already looking at me, her brows drawn together slightly. She didn't look scared or panicked, just aware. She pushed herself up a little and moved closer, one hand coming up to cup my cheek while her thumb brushed gently beneath my eye. Stay with me. Her voice remained soft and gentle, as though she wasn't asking anything from me so much as inviting me back. I swallowed and nodded, or at least something like it. She studied me for another second, making sure I was actually there, before leaning forward and pressing a kiss to my cheek. Felt that? I blinked and tapped her shoulder once. Yes. A small smile appeared on her face. She pressed another kiss against my temple. Here? I tapped her shoulder again. Yes. Then she kissed my jaw. Here, another tap. Yes. The corner of my mouth. Here? Yes. My forehead? Here? Yes. The rhythm settled between us, soft and steady, until she took my hand and turned it over in hers before pressing her lips against my palm. Here? I looked down at her, at the softness in her eyes and the patience she always seemed to have for me, and this time, instead of tapping out my answer, I curled my fingers around hers and gave them a gentle squeeze. Yes, the smile she gave me was small, but it reached her eyes. Each kiss seemed to pull another thread of me back into place, not all at once, and not in some dramatic way, just little pieces. The warmth of her against me, the weight of her hand in mine, the familiar smell of her shampoo, the feeling of her hair brushing against my wrist whenever she moved. Things that had started to blur at the edges slowly became easier to hold on to, easier to feel. Still with me? She asked. I tapped her shoulder again. I was still here. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not completely, but enough. That earned a grin. The soft, pleased kind she got when she thought she'd accomplished something. Then she leaned forward and pressed another kiss against my chest, right over my heartbeat. Here? I tapped before she even finished asking. The laugh that escaped her was quiet. My chest felt strange, fizzy like, and it spread slowly through me, settling beneath my ribs like sunlight through a window. Zoe shifted again, resting her forehead against mine now, her nose brushing mine lightly. She didn't ask this time, didn't need to. Her hand found mine, fingers threading together, squeezing once. Hi, she murmured softly, as though I'd came from somewhere far away. And maybe I had. I squeezed her hand back. Hi. And I didn't drift again. Not this time. That felt so fairy tale like to me. Like, oh my gosh. They're so sweet. I'm just gonna like look at how much is left because I'm trying to find a good place to stop. Okay. Okay. It's DC? Hi, Austin. Oh my god, Austin. Yeah, Broccoli has been here like a couple of times when you weren't here. She was always like, "Oh yeah, say hi to Austin," and then I forgot. Sorry. I just can't stay away. Don't forget to stay hydrated. Thank you. Hydration watch. I'm gonna need to piss soon though. No, I love the formatting so much. Toss was like, Toss, did you do the coding in this chapter or did you get help? Did you ask someone? Because it's so iconic. If Toss was like, yeah, I'll learn HTML. You're such an icon. I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, I'll learn HTML. I did myself. Yes. This is great. This is great. Icon toss. Dino! Dino's here! Hello! Tossed on the big brain things. See? Bro, you don't understand. I was struggling with the Gmail. Oh my god. Listen. I'm keeping my mouth shut. Anyways, what I'm saying is I love this. And you're an icon for this. Yeah, you're like, yeah, I'll figure it out. Period. What, like it's hard? Okay. I'll keep going for a little while and then I'll pause and then I'll be back here tomorrow. LMAO help. I bet Artie does too. What do I do? What do I? Okay, I got dash for y'all. I need to read back. Bye, Austin. Wait, what are you trying to say, Rumi? Sorry, my brain struggle with HTML. Oh yeah. More like I don't know HTML. The only the only thing I've kind of done in HTML is like back in the day. Well, I did some back in the day when like the fandom website was like fully in HTML, like you had to do the editing in HTML. I did some like very simple editing over there. Um but that's basically it. I was like editing stuff for like the Gravity Falls fandom, and then I later I I was part of this audio drama which has a fandom page, like a fandom page. And they had a page for me even though I was like guest actor, guest character, but they had a page for me, and so I was like, I'll add some stuff. I'll edit my page. So yeah, that's all I've done in HTML. I'm not technologically super adept. Anyways, okay. You've been doing really well with your sounds, Dr. Huang said gently as she organized the stack of cards in her hands, her movements calm and unhurried, deliberately steady so nothing about the moment felt rushed or overwhelming. More consistent, and you're holding them longer. She glanced up at Rumi, watching her closely. Rumi was attentive, her shoulders still carrying a trace of tension, but she was present, grounded in the moment instead of retreating from it. That was good. I think we can start introducing words today, Dr. Huang continued, her tone softening just slightly as she eased into the next step. Nothing complicated, just building on what you already know. She didn't rush forward, instead, giving Rumi a moment to absorb what she'd said, to settle into the idea before adding anything more. Then, gently, I chose a few based on things you said you like. It can make it a little easier when the word already means something to you. Rumi nodded, the movement small but immediate, a quiet sign that she was engaged and following along. Okay, Dr. Huang said, pulling the first card forward with a smooth, practiced motion. Let's start simple. She held it up between them. Book. Rumi's eyes flickered to it instantly, locking onto the word without hesitation. Good. Listen first, Dr. Huang said softly, keeping her voice even and reassuring. Then we'll try it together. She modeled it slowly and deliberately, shaping each sound with care. B-ook. Her gaze stayed on Rumi. Not just her. I'm not a speech therapist. I don't actually know like how she is demonstrating this. Her gaze stayed on Rumi, not just her mouth, but the subtle shifts in her posture, the tension in her hands, the rhythm of her breathing. Rumi mouthed it first, silently forming the shape of the word, testing it without sound. Then she tried again, this time letting out the faintest whisper, just as they had practiced. Good, she was pacing herself. Her throat moved. There it was. A small sound slipped out. But, and immediately her hands tightened, fingers curling into fists as tension crept in. That moment, right before frustration could take hold, Dr. Huang stepped in quickly, her voice steady and grounded, offering just enough warmth to catch her before she slipped. That was good, she said. Not too much, just enough. Let's try again. She didn't correct or interrupt the flow, just redirected it, keeping things moving. Rumi nodded, drawing in a deeper breath this time, steadying herself. Book, Dr. Huang modeled again. Rumi followed. Book. The sound came out rough, her voice catching slightly from disuse, But it was there, clear enough, intentional, something she had pushed through to reach. Dr. Huang didn't react too strongly, knowing that too much excitement could overwhelm her just as easily as failure might. Instead, she watched and waited. Rumi didn't shut down or look away. She simply rubbed at her throat before glancing back at Dr. Huang, her expression quiet but searching. Is that enough? Dr. Huang smiled, small but certain. That was good, Rumi, she said. Really good. Let's do it one more time, and then we'll move on. One more success, ending the moment on control rather than exhaustion. Rumi nodded again, her shoulders loosening slightly as she straightened, something shifting in her posture. She inhaled more slowly this time, then exhaled. Book. Clearer, smoother. Her eyes brightened just a little. Dr. Huang felt something in her chest ease in response. Very good, she said, letting a bit more warmth into her voice now. That one was even stronger. She slid the next card forward. Tiger. Her gaze flicked back to Rumi, rar, watching carefully for any change in her expression or posture. There was a flicker of hesitation, but not withdrawal. Good. Tiger, Dr. Huang said, modeling it again with the same steady pacing. Tiger. Rumi followed, her voice a little more uncertain this time. Tiger. Close. Her fingers began tapping lightly against her lap, a small, restless rhythm building as the effort increased. Not quite frustration yet, but she could tell Rumi was getting close. Good, Dr. Huang said gently. Again, keep the rhythm. Don't let her overthink. Tiger. Rumi tried again, swallowing slightly before pushing through. Tiger. There it was. She made it through. Dr. Huang nodded, a little more firmly this time, letting the acknowledgement land without overwhelming her. You're doing amazing. And she meant it. Not because it was perfect, but because Rumi stayed with it, tried again, and didn't shut down when it got harder. All right, next one, Dr. Huang said, lifting another card from the stack and angling it toward Rumi. Coat. Coat, she modeled gently. Oat. Rumi nodded and parted her lips, trying to follow along. She started, but the sounds caught and slipped as they formed, never quite settling into place. Dr. Huang watched closely, her attention drifting from Rumi's mouth to her throat, where the subtle strain in the muscles was already beginning to show. There it was again, the tightness. Rumi tried again, but the word frayed apart into something thin and unfinished, and her hand came up almost immediately to press against her throat, rubbing it as if she could ease the tension out of it. Dr. Huang's brow softened as she took it in, recognizing the pattern she'd seen more than once now. It wasn't just strain, it was the anticipation of it, a learned response where her body braced before the sound could even fully form. Another attempt slipped out, sharper this time, but it cut short as her fingers curled into her shirt. Her shoulders tensed, then loosened, then tensed again, as though she couldn't quite find where to hold the effort. And there it was, the shift, not in her voice, but in everything else. Her breathing changed first, growing shallower and uneven, while her focus narrowed too tightly, as if she were trying to force the word into existence instead of letting it come naturally. Frustration was setting in, and it was happening quickly. Rumi, Dr. Huang said gently, stepping in before it could take over completely. It's okay. Rumi didn't look up, her gaze fixed on her lap, her jaw tight. Not every word is going to come out perfectly, Dr. Huang continued, keeping her tone even and grounding. It takes time. There was no response, only that uneven breathing lingering in the space between them. Dr. Huang let a small pause settle before speaking again, her voice softer this time. In moments like this, your emotions and your voice start to overlap, especially the difficult ones. And when that happens, trying to push through it usually makes it harder, not easier. She watched Rumi carefully, searching for any sign that she was still with her. This, she added gently, is a sign your body telling you, is a sign your body is telling you it's had enough for today, and that is okay. Rumi swallowed, the moment small but meaningful. You did really well, Dr. Huang said, making sure that part landed. You said two full words today, words you weren't able to say even a few sessions ago. That was the anchor. Progress, not failure. Rumi nodded, faintly at first, her expression still tight as she began gathering her things with quiet, careful movements, the frustration still lingering beneath the surface. Dr. Huang exhaled softly through her nose, watching her for a moment longer, knowing this part was always the hardest, not the sounds or the words, but helping her leave without feeling like she'd fallen short. Same time next session? She asked gently, offering something steady and expected to hold on to, because routine helped. Rumi nodded again, a little quicker this time. Good. She was still showing up, and that mattered more than anything. Do I read the outer thoughts? I'm just checking like what comes next. I think I'm gonna stop there. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna stop at she was still showing up, and that mattered more than anything. And it's a good place to stop. Okay. Period. That's it, y'all. That's it for tonight. My data is failing me. Goodbye. Bye, Weef. Wait, what did Sam say about next word? Orange. Oh, I should have. You're funny. Okay, you know what I'm thinking about for the ending song? Yay, Rumi did it. She spoke. Yeah, Tegan, I haven't had any time to read anything lately, but now things are slowing down so I can go back to reading. I did start like keeping track of the fan fiction I read, like in a Google sheet. Um uh because my friend like shared her little fic tracker with me, and I was like, wait, I want to do this. So yeah. But yeah, I am like reading, like not much, but it's like nighty night. Okay, I'm gonna say goodbye to the YouTube. And you know what song I'm gonna play? I was thinking of Flowers from Hades Town. I open my mouth, but nothing comes out. I am so evil, but I really want to play it now. Bye, y'all.